So we got it going.
Okay.
Uh, we'll see what happens from here.
Let me go ahead and find you so I can watch the comment stream.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
How
I
do
don't
I
know
do?
if you modded me or not. Uh,
I don't know how to do that.
okay.
So,
Okay. Okay. Right by my name. Hey Marvin, what's going on? Right by my name, there should be three dots, and you hit three
oh,
dots
okay.
and said add moderator.
Well, this is, says kick from studio, banned from
Oh
studio.
no. Okay, you got to go to your YouTube page.
Oh, okay. So
If
I
you,
gotta.
how many monitors do you have? Just one?
I'm just getting on my YouTube. Do I go to the studio?
Oh no. Just go to your channel. So you and it
See,
should be.
okay. There goes
And what's
Herbert. What's up, Herbert?
hey Herbert? What's up? I'm Marvin.
What's up,
Uh,
Marvin?
hey, New Jersey Prophet. What's happening?
Oh, he come New Jersey Prophet already coming in with the analysis.
I don't know if it's the biggest letdown. I mean, if you saw the signs, it could have pointed to it because even when I was because the people on my Patreon, I did the joke that uh, the agent did. I think his name Lori did when she got introduced in episode 3. She was telling that joke about the 3 watchmen that died and went to heaven, right? Or went to the pearly gates and got judged, and all got sent to hell.
Now, real quick, BGS. I'm on there on YouTube. How do I mod you?
Okay, right by my name, when you highlight my name, it'll be 3 dots. And 3
Oh,
dots,
okay. I
uh,
see
uh,
you.
and see the 3 dots,
There we go. All
and
right.
then it says add moderator.
Okay. It should have been. It should be there.
Okay, let me type myself in, and we said,
What's up,
uh,
Excalibur? Jetland Capital.
yeah, I'm high. Yeah. Um,
Reaper of the Shines. All right.
oh, Reaper the Shines. Hey, Reaper, what's going on?
Yeah.
Everybody's falling in. We got 32 people watching, so it's a good start.
Yeah. Real good. I told you, man. People miss you, man.
uh,
I'm not gonna let you forget that, brother. You know, whatever you got to do, you're gonna know you love. So
and back in the studio, click on live comments.
okay, where are we at here?
Go back to your studio.
I'm in the studio.
Okay.
Here's
So
live
it's live
comments.
comments. You see private chat and live comments right next to it.
Oh crap. I don't see it.
At the top, it says okay, at the top where it says it says
See,
private chat and live comments. It
I don't
should
see
be
where it says private.
it-
Oh, private chat. Okay, so
private chat right next to it. She said live comments.
no,
Yeah.
I see comments, but it doesn't say live comments.
Okay.
It says private chat on the menu to the right.
Okay. It should say comments. Okay.
No, I'm seeing comments though.
Oh, you're seeing comments. So if you're seeing comments, say if you want to highlight one, say if you want to just highlight one, and it should show up on the screen.
Okay, there we
Okay.
go.
Yeah. And if
Yeah.
you want to remove it, you just click it again. It'll remove itself.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna leave that up there for a minute because I didn't choose that arbitrarily. So good looking out, Reaper the Shine.
Ripple the shines. Okay.
you know, it,
So
it,
so,
it,
so that so if you want people to see somebody's comment, say you're going to respond to it, you click on it and you can respond to it so people can see it on the screen. It also goes in the recording too.
okay. So if you saying when I want to respond to one person, I can do what?
You can say if you want to respond to a particular comment and you want it highlighted, you just click on it so it shows up on the screen.
Oh, okay. All
That's
right.
just a tip.
Okay. All right. BK Hammer, what's good?
Hey,
Rashid
BK
B.
Emmer, what's going on, folks?
What's up,
Rashid,
Rashid?
okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Luther, what's going on? Black to Death. Hey, Bit of
Mm.
Truth. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Your whole
hey, Bit of Truth. You want in on this? Because he just did a review of Rise of the Skywalker. He
okay.
hated it. You guys saw it. I saw maybe I may saw maybe half of it.
Unreasonable Man, BJ Onyx, what's good?
Hey, BJ, what's going on? A reasonable man. All right,
Nice.
like the video, folks, as you come in.
Yeah, please do, and please subscribe if you can. Um, come back in.
Anything you want to tell people about your channel before we get started?
Well, normally right now I just do the first and third Wednesdays, which isn't live, but I am shifting soon to the alternate second and fourth Wednesdays where I'll do a live piece. So, this is the beginning point for me. I'm just getting going, and I appreciate as much support as I can get. What's up, Mr. Meach?
Michi. He hates that, but I call
it. So Reaper says, I saw the spoilers and was pissed.
Yeah, very right. But okay, Bit of Truth. I'll email you.
You send him that?
Yeah, I'll send him the link.
Thank you. All right.
He used to run the books. Him and his father used to run the bookstore in Atlanta way back when. So So he's old school conscious community.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Scott Peterson, he's shouting you out, BGS. I want you to read that.
I appreciate it, Scott.
Yeah. See, folks, I ain't letting BGS, slip out of here without knowing. He gonna get this. If he got to be introduced to the negative, we got to make sure he gets positive. Yeah, we're still waiting for Artisan. I think he's
still out in traffic. We can get started, and he can fall in when he gets here.
Okay.
And Bitter Truth can stand in if he wants to. We're going to need a third party.
Cool. Well, we were going to talk about two pieces tonight, and we're going to do a few hours, gentlemen. But I told BGS there's only one BGS, so I don't know anybody else that could do 8 to 11 hour hangouts, but I'm not the one. I'm not on that level. So
you have a life to manage, huh?
Well, I ain't said that. I'm just saying I could do 3 hours, but my boy is the only one I know that could do 8. So, but no, we were gonna do Watchmen as well, and we can kind of let it flow however it needs to. But I'm not sure how much of both you've seen or what you haven't.
Okay, we don't want to give away too many spoilers since it's the first weekend. So what is your feeling? You don't have to give away spoilers, but what's your feeling, the overall feeling of Star Wars?
I saw it Thursday night, about 5 o'clock showing, I think it was. No, 7. And I was trying to fight back the skepticism before I even walked in the theater. As a matter of fact, I had promised myself I wasn't even going to go watch it.
Okay.
Let me get Bitter Truth in here.
I can do
there you go. What's up, man? Bitter Truth?
Yeah, I'm here. All right.
What's up?
Man, that movie was such a comedy. You know what? It was the breaking point for me, where I was like,
not too many spoilers, okay? Because people have.
But my breaking point for me, because I do things with my niece, because it's like my daughter. She's asleep. We're at the Last Jedi. She's asleep right next to me. I'm waking her up. Hey, you missed it. She going back to sleep. And I get it, because the movie was, I'm sitting there like, what the fuck are they doing? So when the whole flying Leia thing happened, I was like, done.
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. Oh, that one. Yeah, I remember flying Leia. Yeah, that's Mary. That was Mary Poppins. Yeah.
I just got here like this. I just
you talking about episode 8?
Yeah. So and okay, like, because after that I was like, I'm done paying for Star Wars.
Okay.
Right.
So, I watched The Mandalorian, which is good, on the R-Mady network.
Excellent.
And I watched this Rise of Skywalker same network, and I'm sitting there. And I am laughing my ass off at this movie because it dawned on me that Disney must see these things as comedies. All right. Because Rian Johnson said a couple years ago when he put his movie out, because they asked him, well, why did you do General Hux like that? He was like, well, I always thought he was funny. And I'm like, it dawned on me. I was like, wait a minute. The reason why The Last Jedi was such a piece of crap was because Rian Johnson wasn't taking Star Wars seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, what is the main thing that they say to people who criticize The Last Jedi? You know, as far as outside of calling us racist, misogynistic Russian bots. You know, they say, "Oh, well, it's a kids movie about wizards in space with laser swords," and that is exactly how Rian Johnson saw the movie. He saw it as goofy kid stuff, so that's the way it was shot.
Yeah.
So of course, this latest monstrosity was shot pretty much the same way. It was shot the same way. So it's like, I can't be mad, but you did confirm that you guys did not know what the heck you were doing. You didn't study the source material. Okay. You didn't embody Lucas's vision, George Lucas's vision. He's so fed up. He didn't even, number one, they didn't invite him to the premiere because he didn't want to go to the premiere.
He tried to make it look like he wasn't invited though, right?
Right. But it was like after he saw the first one, he was like, all y'all did was just a soft reboot of, A New Hope. It was like, well, we had to hurry up and rush it out. Like, no, you did. I gave you story treatments.
Right. But they're flipping that. So they're saying he never wrote scripts, which is technically true, but that's not relevant.
Kathleen Kennedy is nothing but a two-faced liar. And then when, of course, the Last Jedi came out, he pulled the Peter Griffin done. So his hands, I'm done with it. And then to add insult to injury, they went to him for this last movie because do understand they were still shooting in November. They didn't finish wrapping up shooting till mid-November because they were doing the test screenings and people were walking out. They were getting mad. They didn't stomach it. They was like, because Chewie, Lando, C-3PO, and R2-D2 were all supposed to die on the Falcon. The Falcon was supposed to get blown up. Okay, so people saw that. They said people got up to leave. They said the Disney people were trying to stop people from leaving. Tomorrow, you won't get your Amazon gift card. And they like, you keep your gift card.
Wow.
Killing off the most favorite people of this whole series. Though this is, if you started the series without the legacy characters, well, we wouldn't buy tickets. So at any rate, if you saw the movie, I'm not going to give out any spoilers, but that part where they was like, no, oh no, and everybody, but 2 minutes later, oh, really? Then what was the point? Because that was supposed to stay there.
Okay.
That was supposed to truly happen.
Right. I saw that meanwhile back at the ranch. Yeah.
Yes. People, they didn't like it. The test audience didn't like it, so they threw it in. And if you notice, if you actually watch the movie, you notice it seems like a series of cuts that really don't.
A lot of quick cutting. A lot of
exactly. Like whole scenes are missing.
It didn't make sense. Yeah, there's no continuity. There was no continuity. I noticed that.
Exactly. So
I can tell you the reason I even wanted to do this, and BGS was kind enough to support it, is we got to look at the symbolism of these films, from Watchmen to Star Wars to everything else. So even if you're not into Star Wars per se, you're still going to pick up key ideas, and those are the things that concern me. The ideas that our kids get, that we get transmitted in these shows, are highly problematic. And so throughout the course of the night, I want us to delve into some of that, because some of the imagery, and I understand what you said, BGS. We don't want to give away too many spoilers. So some of my points we can connect to Last Jedi, to I don't know what my camera's doing here. We can connect it to the first one in the new trilogy, because they're consistent issues for me. Right? My biggest problem is, I'm always going to start with black men. So I got to go to Finn. I got to go to Lando. And this was the first series that I've ever seen where, I ain't seen this many brothers neutered in this way in so long. It's ridiculous. I'm still waiting. I'm still trying to figure out what they were doing with Finn. The man technically has so many love interests and never confirmed anything. I was like, they really don't know how to deal with black male sexuality. That's one thing. But but please, BGS.
Yeah, because they keep, cause I remember after Last Jedi, did he fall out of love with Rey and fall in love with the Asian girl, or what was their relationship, or did it continue? There's no continuity to this film at all. It's like they still like like she doesn't love him anymore. Like, okay, they're just friends. It's like, where's all this continuity? Why do I develop this relationship with these two people in one film, and then the next film it doesn't exist? It doesn't make sense.
Let me answer that.
Go ahead.
As you know, as they play Finn, because for those who don't know, Finn's name, it's an offshoot of Huckleberry's friend, Negro Jim. I'm not going to say the N word, but you know what I'm talking about. You're familiar with Huckleberry Finn.
Yeah.
That's who he is. He's Negro Jim. Okay? Because what was his job as a stormtrooper? What was his job? Do you remember?
He was a janitor.
He's a janitor.
Oh, right. You're the black janitor. And they played him like this white vagina chasing coon. All right. And a coward. And a coward.
Yeah, especially in the first movie.
Yeah.
All you saw in the trailer was him terrified.
Exactly. The sweaty, scared Negro with the eyes bucking and chasing the white woman. You got a boyfriend? You got a boyfriend? And then in the second movie, the Last Jedi, they put him away from her. He was still, coochie chasing. Remember, he came up out of the thing with the water spraying all over the place. And the first question he asked, "Where's Rey?"
Yeah,
he was still chasing. Now, do keep in mind how white feminists see black men.
Yeah.
This is how they see black men, as cowardly, buffoons, and a steady chaser of white vagina, even though she's not even showing you any type of remote interest. Okay, but yet you're so obtuse, you're so hungry for them that you just chase and chase and chase. And the thing about it is, this last movie, they doubled down on what they said in the first movie. They took the black woman to pull his coat. I hope I'm not giving out any spoilers, but it took the black woman to pull his coat, literally snatch him by the back of his neck and say, "Bruh, chill out. She got this." And after that, he didn't chase her no more. If you pay attention, after that black woman pulled his coat, he didn't chase her no more. That's the subliminal imagery, the subliminal message that they were putting out. Okay, but because pretty much what they were saying, because the black woman, she, not to give anything away, but if you know her backstory too, what you're talking about is, hey, y'all, stick with your own kind, Negro. Right.
But you notice he didn't even really give any confirmation of interest in her. So, from the first film to now, because remember when the first one came out, one of the things they were suggesting was that he and Poe might be gay. You remember that?
Oh, yeah. Saying that, I get it.
But that's part of it. But this is what it goes to. This reason I bring that up is I think that with this entire series, they really were trying to cater to a certain population, the LGBT population, in the sense that they left everything open. Yeah. There was no confirmation of anyone's sexuality from Finn to Poe. Everything was a question mark, just so that they didn't really kind of push anyone away. So if you look at that in this movie, including Poe, Finn had 3 women and Poe all as love interest that everybody was wondering about, but there was no confirmation on anything. And I think that's an interesting kind of message right there, because this is the first series where you don't really have a love story of any sort throughout the entire trilogy.
It sucks, in a sense, yeah.
One really valid small hint between Kylo and Rey in the second movie, because you stayed on, because she was getting hot and bothered and uncomfortable, and she never
because he's the bad boy.
Exactly.
He's the bad boy, and basically Finn is the beta male orbiter.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And he's also the only leading white man in the cast, really, because in terms of the optics of it, He's the only one that was kind of worthy of her time, because as much as Finn chased her around, you know, he really wasn't an actualized grown man in many ways. He was a child, and I kind of questioned to what extent that changed, and I didn't really see a lot.
Well, normally that part is played by the woman towards the hero of the story. In other words, they're the girl Friday that sexually interested in the hero, but he doesn't have time for other than seeing her as a sidekick or a friend. So basically, he's the boy Friday.
Oh, that's true.
He's the boy Friday. Because in other words, they flip the roles. In other words, the roles that women normally play, because we saw the same thing in Watchmen. The roles that women normally play, the men were playing. This is this gender fluidity shit.
Looks like we got Artisan in.
What up, What up, Mixmaster?
How you guys doing?
Good, man. How you been?
You still on the road, or are you at home?
I'm still on the road. I got about 5 minutes before I get there. I had to make a stop off real quick.
Okay.
I'm glad you could make it in, brother.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. I appreciate that.
Yeah. We were just kind of getting started on Star Wars, man. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I'm seeing it tomorrow, but I heard what Bay was saying about the multiple love interests, but nothing confirmed, and it's going over. Some woman at work told me, she was shaking her head about it. Like, did you see Star Wars? And I said, no, I'm seeing it tomorrow. She said, okay, man, you're going to feel some kind of way.
The love interest thing, I'm not going to take credit for that. That's him. He said that.
And BGS was breaking down the ambiguity, the sexual ambiguity of it all.
Right.
Yeah.
But by the time we see the lesbian kiss, and I'll just leave it at that, you know that's something that they're trying to cater to.
We got the lesbian kiss in there. I thought that was coming from the first one when Finn grabbed her hand and she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah, I thought that. I thought that too. Yeah.
Like,
right. But that's part of the point, though.
Yeah.
Ray was, as far as the lesbian community, Ray was huge in terms of her impact, not because she did anything, but because she didn't do anything. Yeah. Right. So they left a lot of ambiguity about whether or not, she was straight, gay, whatever. And I think they were trying to tap into that ambiguity to get a new market, a new audience that the original trilogy in the 70s, and they didn't really have to think about.
Yeah, because Ray is basically a man. Okay, in a female role, basically.
That's garbage.
So what else?
I said he would still be kind of a garbage character. Because there would still be nothing there. There would be no reason to say why, if it was a male character, why he can do what he can do. It still would be unexplained. So he'd still be, instead of him being a Mary Sue, he'd be a Mary Todd or
what they call him, a Gary Sue or whatever.
Gary Sue, is that what Crimson Cure called?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? That's what I was going to say. It came out that what is his name? Jar Jar Abrams. He said that Kathleen Kennedy, when they all sat down to formulate this plan for this movie, that was Kathleen Kennedy's plan. She wanted Ray to be OP as hell, to show these women that you can be this strong and independent and don't need no man, all that stuff. But the problem is that it doesn't make for a good character. It doesn't make for a good character. And
if they want to, I'm saying if you want to OP a female character, make her a villain.
Because that's the only people who can really be OP.
Right.
It's like me and my buddy at the shop, we have a theory that the closer you go to being a villain, the more you can just go outlandish with your abilities and powers. But the closer you are to being, a good stereotypical good guy, the more limited your power base becomes.
Yeah.
Because you can't do what a villain would do, which is I'll drop a building on you. Well, you're good. You're not going to drop a building on anybody. You're going to try to save everybody from the building or prop the building up some kind of way. You get limited in that way.
But I think Kathleen Kennedy kind of leads that in the sense that there are new rules for Star Wars that I think are pretty consistent across media today. But as it applies to Star Wars, one of those new rules is that women don't lose lightsaber battles. They don't lose battles, period.
No.
So across the 3 movies, how many times have you really seen Rey in trouble in terms of a light? I mean, she beat Luke. Really?
Yeah.
You know
she beat Luke and Kylo Ren, who was a dark Sith, a Sith master.
Exactly.
That can stop lightning,
exactly.
Stop bolts in midair and leave them hanging, and you just pick up a lightsaber like in 2 seconds, and you can beat a Sith master.
That's why there were so many fan theories about that she was supposed to be like a clone of Palpatine or Anakin or something like that. That she could even go toe to toe with somebody who has not only been trained by, the last Jedi living, the Grand Master of the Order, but also trained by the dark side. Snoke, there's stand up with a lightsaber and not, end up losing a limb. Luke lost one fighting his daddy, and he was holding back.
Yeah.
So see, you're hitting on my main point. Yeah. Well, that was the thing. If you look at the other 2 trilogies, when men lost, it was demonstrable. Like you knew he lost that battle. Right, whether it was Anakin losing his arm and his legs, or Luke losing his hand in Empire, it was demonstrable. In this one, I mean, a boy of mine, we debated for an hour about whether or not Rey ever lost any match. And I don't want to give away too much, but
even in the movie, even with this new one, she didn't. I mean, I put it like this: she was down, but in the end, who won the fight?
You see that? You see that? That's what I mean.
And in both fights, who won the fight?
Exactly.
Who won the fight?
So, what is the challenge of a hero that never loses?
There is none. And you know what? This is. I want to speak on this. That's why I was sitting up here oohing and ahhing a few minutes ago. This is more than just a movie. Okay, this is really a fight. This series. Star Wars became the battleground for the culture war. It started with that 2015 Ghostbusters. And it's been a fight. It's been an uphill fight for the extreme leftists ever since. Okay, and Star Wars, of course, that was the biggest franchise in the world. Star Wars is the biggest franchise in the world. If you can win the culture war by winning with Star Wars, then what you can say is, guess what? It works. You guys were wrong. Quote unquote, death to patriarchy.
Yeah.
Right.
With the first movie, everybody was excited. Even I walked out of the theater like, oh man, like that was a good movie. I was like, but how did she learn how to do all that stuff?
Exactly.
Exactly. I went, I took my father and my stepmother, and my father is the one who got me into Star Wars, and he gets excited over Star Wars. We all walked out of the theater, me, him, and my stepmother, quiet. We didn't say a word. We got in the car, and we were leaving the parking lot, and she was like, well, that ain't nothing but a big dog. Of course, she's talking about Chewbacca, but that was all he had to say about it. And then I realized that movie was garbage upon second viewing. Ridiculous. She know how to do everything.
Exactly.
So then, of course, people, it made over $1 billion some, $200 billion.
And I think that was nostalgia. People missed it,
So then people realized, wait a minute, this is an assault on our culture. So then came the second movie, and of course, it made money on the opening weekend. What did it make? 200 billion again? 2 billion again, or something like that?
Man,
the second weekend, as they say, you can tell how good a movie is not by opening weekend, but the second weekend. The second weekend, it took a humongous loss. It dropped. And then and that's when people started saying, screw Star Wars. Then started boycotting Star Wars. And then they put out Solo. Solo crashed and burned.
Yeah.
It lost money. I think it only made $140 million on a weekend that it was up against nothing.
Yeah.
And it was a bad movie, by the way. I saw like 20 minutes of it and I had to cut it off. I on the Pirate Network, and I was done.
Man, I fell asleep in it like 3-4 times.
There you go. It's that bad. So
but
now comes Rise of Skywalker.
Mm-hmm.
Rise of Skywalker made $40 million on opening night. Now I'm reading this from the Hollywood Reporter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And they said Rise of Skywalker is tracking for $170 to $200 million opening weekend, according to industry experts, with Disney predicting 160 million plus 160 plus bow. Now,
bullshit.
You don't get it. You don't get it.
Something caught my throat.
Something caught his throat.
For a Star Wars movie is a humongous flop.
Well, last I checked earlier today, they were saying we'll see what happens with this one over the weekend. But right now, I think it's number 5 in terms of top grossing films, but it's behind Last Jedi for right now. And that's going to be real interesting.
What I was hearing last week, I'm sorry, babe. What I was hearing last was them going in on how their plan for the next series of movies and the next trilogy after this, and everybody they're bringing on board to do it and all the rest of that. And they kept seeding in there, well, we have to see what Rise of Skywalker does.
Right.
We have to see what Rise of Skywalker does. I say, it's flopping, right? Why are you trying to prime the audience to get them to sympathetically go out so they can see something else?
Yeah.
Like, look, we're going to get Keanu and all these other people. Like, I don't care.
Artisan,
you did.
Why they said that? Why it depends on what Rise of Skywalker does. Because you understand that Kathleen Kennedy is out.
I know she was gone when I heard Kevin Feige was coming in.
Exactly.
Her contract is up.
And I think Kevin Feige is going to turn it over to Dave Filoni, who is George Lucas's right-hand man. That's who he really should have turned it over to, but Dave Filoni
I heard Dave Filoni and Favreau is going to be really involved in the next series of trilogies because they instruct.
And Favreau really needs to be. Favreau really needs to be. His contributions to The Mandalorian are definitely because really, when it comes to these gender race wars in representation, especially the gender ones, what we're seeing is 2 different camps. You got the original Ripley alien camp, and then you got what we saw in the very first part of this new trilogy with Rey. She's either a Mary Sue or she's actually going to be a hero that has to earn her stripes. And the last, really these 3 movies has been very much a Mary Sue dynamic that's really trying to cater to women as the new, market economy. But the sacrifice to masculinity is becoming a problem in too many areas of life. It's becoming an issue. And you can't, I had somebody come in on Twitter, and I think BGS, you may have seen it. And he was like, why are we talking about this? And I'm like, look, these movies have worldwide impact.
Yeah.
They shape how people, especially boys, girls, they shape how we socialize into the world. You can't discount media. Ideas about race, gender, all of that are right there.
And I heard one a brother that was a master teacher, man. He said that if a woman accepts something, once something goes into a woman's subconscious, she accepts it as true. And these ideas are going into women's subconscious because you can see how aggressive women are actually getting in this society.
So it's reinforced in every part of the society.
Right? And I look at it as, you're programming the girls to be empowered. What are you saying to the boys who are watching this too? What are the archetypes that they get to choose from?
That women are your guides.
Exactly. Yeah. Because I've been saying this for years. My son, up to the age of 12, had never seen a boy beat a girl at anything. More than that, he'd never seen a male beat a female at anything in media. What does that do to a generation of boys who don't see that? What impact does it have long term?
Long term psychological, because that's passed down.
Yeah.
You have to turn around and try to break the cycle with your son and show him that in some kind of form or fashion. Otherwise, he grows up, he has this child, and then he repeats that cycle again.
Yeah.
You know what you start him on? Put him on Buffy.
Buffy would do it.
7 series. That because Buffy is excellent. How old is your son?
He's 14 now.
Perfect. Because the whole thing with Buffy, the first 3 seasons is her dealing with high school stuff. And even though we graduated and the teachers have passed away that taught us, is still the same stuff. Nothing changed. There's nothing new under the sun. That stuff, it'll help him cope through it because they have their messages. I mean, the one thing that I can say about Joss Whedon is that he doesn't do the racial stuff. He's not a closet white supremacist. So he doesn't belittle black people like in like the 7th series. He had Robin, who was the son of a black slayer. Because if you're familiar with the series, Spike wears this long black duster. He got it from that guy's mother because she was a slayer. He killed her and took the coat. Okay, so I mean, there's a whole history with him and Spike, but he was never played as an idiot. He wasn't played as a coon or a buffoon or nothing. I mean, he was a solid dude. The actor that played him, I was like, man, I need to see him in some more stuff. He was like Denzel Washington level to me. But I mean, it's they don't play it like that. Joss Whedon doesn't play it like that. You can sit down and watch it with him, but it shows strong female characters. Okay, it shows strong female characters, and it shows the one guy who, of course, is he's the lapdog. He's the one chasing after Buffy because some men are attracted to strong male types, and she is after Angel, who is Angelus, the soulless vampire. But he has a soul. But when he loses a soul, she goes through a whole heartbreak with him and everything. The whole bad boy trope. But there's a redemption. But she still chases the bad boy. But the guy who is the Finn character, the white guy, he eventually moves away from that. You see growth with him. He gets a fiance and everything and whatnot. And he gets, they didn't get married, but they almost got married. Stuff like that. You see an evolution of the characters. You even see the best friend. She becomes, she winds up dating a guy who breaks her heart, and then she goes gay. And I mean, it's a whole society dynamic that's wrapped up in that show, but it's not psychologically damning. Do you understand?
But this has gone through stages. I wrote an article on The Last Jedi that I put on my blog. I wrote a blog piece on it. So check it out if you guys haven't. It's on newblackmasculinities.wordpress.org. Anyway, one of the things I talked about is in the 80s, you saw they were developing these female characters, but they weren't dominating the male characters. So like if you saw He-Man and She-Ra, you know what I mean? They started creating these powerful female characters that were about building women's, confidence, girls' confidence, and so on and so forth. But they didn't necessarily compete with one another. But now what we're seeing, like if we talk about Watchmen, right? The dynamic between Cal and Sister Midnight, right? So we moved to this era between Ray and Midnight where you have women that are not only dominating, but as BGS said, they're men. They're articulated as men, and the men are being put in feminine roles, and we're supposed to accept that, but we're not looking at what impact it actually does have, right?
I'm sorry. What's your word?
Okay. New Black Masculinities. That word.
I'm looking for it right now.
I don't know if I can put that.
I'll put it up. I'll put the link in when I find it.
Okay.
You guys just keep going.
But that's one of the things that I'm noticing. We're really not taking into account what these changes will mean over time and what it's doing to boys, right? Boys are graduating out of K through 12 at high school at far lesser degrees than girls, and that's been going on for quite a while. But we're not connecting that to the media. We're not connecting that to entertainment. Boys in many respects are checking out, and we're not asking why. But if you tell them they're not worth anything, and that fundamentally they just need to follow girls and girls are going to fix everything, if that's the language, you're going to get men checking out at a very young age.
Yeah, you know what? The thing is that if you look at before the Kerner Commission, only like less than 25% of black men ever graduated high school, and the Kerner Commission kind of turned that around. And the biggest peak of black male education was between 1968 and maybe 1980, and after that it's tailed off. So basically, it's going back to the way it was.
Scott Peterson just made an excellent point about Anansi from what is that show? American Gods.
American Gods, yes.
And having that character removed, you saw an unapologetically masculine character who gets fired from the whole show, the actor himself, and of course the character. So it's interesting to see that.
Oh, they did that with what's the name too? The black guy. They fired him too.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two men from that show.
Oh, is there another?
Yeah, it was another one. I didn't even, because I saw the article, but I didn't give it a darn because I never did watch the second season. I didn't even know they put out the second season. But they fired the dude and the white guy. And I think what it was, their characters were too, they weren't leftist. They weren't leftist enough. They wouldn't fit into that extreme leftist ideology. So they got rid of them.
Well,
I heard the excuse. Yes, sir.
Did you get a chance to finish Watchmen?
Yes, I did. I finished it this morning.
Now I know we didn't want to give away too many spoilers on Star Wars.
Yeah, but Watchmen is done. So it's weapons free on Watchmen.
Oh, Watchmen. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I had a lot that I wanted to say on Star Wars, but you're right. I don't want to get out of the way. But what was your thoughts on Watchmen, man?
On the whole of the last episode. Last episode was
the ninth and the sixth it was problematic, to say the least.
Was very problematic. Those last two, those are the three reviews I have sitting on my phone right now. 6, 7, 8, and 9, since I just watched it this morning. And I had a lot of thoughts. I just had to record it and get them out and move on with my day because I was kind of irritated with some of the stuff I saw. But this last one that sticks with me is that even though you have Dr. Manhattan in this black man's body or masquerading in blackface, whatever you want to call it,
right?
Everybody is trying to take his power. That's what I found interesting. The white man wants to take his power. The Asian lady wants to take his power to become him. And now at the end, the black woman takes his possibly takes his
power.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is still a statement, though.
Yeah, which is still a statement because all these people want to take this black man's power at this point,
which they hinted at. Well, I said because I just did a piece on my Patreon about the remember the joke that Lori the agent told when she first got introduced in the episode 3.
Yeah.
And basically, she told a story about a master bricklayer, what we call a master mason, and he builds this barbecue, right? And it's perfect, except there's one brick left.
One brick missing.
It's one brick missing, right? So he's getting ready to tear the thing down, and the little girl says, "Wait, I know how we can get rid of the orphan brick." And she throws it up into the air, right? Okay, that is the brick or the stone that the builder rejected. And masonry, right? And at the very end of the joke, right after he did, after God dispatches the 3 watchmen, for whatever reason, right? And he notices her and said, "Okay, she's an old woman now, but she's there being judged, right?" And he says, "Well, I don't know you. Who are you?" He said, "I'm the little girl." She says, "I'm the little girl that threw the brick in the air, right?" And the brick comes down and kills God. Right. So in other words, basically. The stone that the builder rejected becomes the cornerstone, right? Who in this series is the orphan brick?
I guess it would be Manhattan.
No, it would be what's her name? Because she doesn't have any family, basically.
Oh, that's right.
Because she was orphaned in Vietnam. Okay. She's her grandmother came to get her. She was orphaned again, and basically, as far as reputation is is concerned, who's at the bottom as far as reputation, as far as women is concerned?
Black women.
Black women. So basically, she's the orphan brick. She's the brick that got rejected, and now she's going to become the cornerstone. Which is, so if you look at it from that standpoint, they've been given hints. Yeah.
I was waiting for you to pull it together for me, because I knew there was a piece I was missing.
Yeah.
And the story played too much of a centerpiece in the beginning of that episode, so I know it was set up for something else, but I hadn't heard that story before.
Yeah.
The brick that's cast away. It's like, okay, that's
Well, basically, they called Jesus the stone that the builder rejected becomes cornerstone. Yeah.
All right, question.
Yes, sir.
I haven't seen Watchmen yet.
So what?
Binge watch it. Plus, I've been busy, but I'm under the impression I saw a picture. Dr. Manhattan is a black guy.
He took the form of a black man. Yes.
Right. Yeah. A dead black man. He took the form of to get with Sister Midnight. Is it Sister Midnight?
Sister Night.
Sister Night. Thank you. Yeah. He took the form of a black male. But see, there's something I wanted to interject in that, because when you look at the legacy of black male stereotypes, there are some overarching themes that play into all of them, from violence to, lack of intelligence. But one of the most consistent themes is failure.
Right.
It's one of the most consistent themes about black male stereotypes is failure. And so when you look at, Dr. Manhattan, this is the only time, from the movie to now, that you actually see him, fail seriously. And it's noticeable that he's doing so with a black male face. You know what I mean? And so you have this weird kind of mix where you have this powerful white God figure who takes a black form and has to be beaten in order for that form to come out again. And even though he's supposed to represent the Godhead in some way, he fails miserably in a way we've never seen him fail before.
Yeah, he's almost human, and she becomes his protector.
His protector.
Right. Yeah.
But that scene where she approaches him with a hammer and she's talking to him lovingly.
Yes.
Man.
I know. That did something to me.
That did something to me, man.
Because it reminds you of your mother before she does.
What was that movie that he did? Hancock.
Yeah.
Remember Hancock?
Yeah.
Right. The woman was his greatest weakness.
And she was also more powerful than him.
She was stronger than him.
See, these themes keep coming back out, right? Many people I know are pushing back for the Ellen Ripley aliens, what's Jamie Lee Curtis Halloween. If you're going to have a female hero, pull from that legacy, but instead what we're seeing is, the replacement of men in a very particular way.
Yeah, it was. I think it was more skillfully done in Watchmen than it was done in Star Wars, because they hit it very well. So in other words, one thing I do like what they did, at least they gave these women a backstory. They didn't just come out of nowhere. They weren't Mary Sue's.
Right. I actually enjoyed seeing the backstory.
Yeah. Have you seen A Bit of Truth?
What?
A Watchmen?
No, not yet. I'm gonna be
Negro. Negro.
Hey, right now is the Mandalorian. Okay.
Hey, Negro. I mean, just the destruction of Black Wall Street alone in the first 5 minutes is worth the series.
Oh, that's in here?
Yeah, Watchmen. The first 5 minutes of Watchmen.
The first episode.
First 5 minutes of Watchmen is the culture riots, race riots.
Because I haven't seen any I haven't watched any previews. I haven't watched any reviews. The reason why I asked the question about Dr. Manhattan, because that was only the second photo I've seen about Watchmen. Everything else has been, the masked figure, black. I've seen that picture all over the place, but I haven't. I'm completely out of touch with Watchmen.
I would say check it out, because I wasn't going to watch that series initially.
I wouldn't either. But this guy, that guy right there, man. That guy right there with the glasses, the sensei right there. Yeah, it was him. Yeah, him. He said, man, you gotta watch it. You gotta check out Watchmen. I said, well, why you gotta check out Watchmen? Man, he said, nigga. Nigga.
Rorschach figure in the show.
Huh?
Rorschach. Is there a Rorschach figure in the
show? Yeah, it's the legacy. It's the legacy of Rorschach.
It's legacy of Rorschach because they could become the white supremacists with the Rorschach mask.
But what really kicked that off is I had never seen a live action performance of Tulsa, Oklahoma before.
Really?
Now, BGS, you might be familiar with one. I looked for one, but I haven't found one. And I can at least show that to my class because when I try to tell them this is the first city in human history bombed from the air, my students just look at me like, because they have no visual image of it.
Well, did you I think you posted that on Twitter, right, Dr. Johnson, about the two mass graves that they just found.
But the problem is what a lot of people don't know is they ground the bodies in wood chippers in the cemetery. So we had a guy come to Fresno State and give a presentation on Tulsa, and he interviewed an older white man who was a little boy at the time, who was walking the next day and walked by a cemetery, and he saw them loading dead bodies of black people into a wood chipper. So the bodies actually comprised the dirt that people were being buried in. So when you see them, if you read the article where they say they found mass bodies, they said they were having trouble identifying what they were actually finding. Well, it's more than likely that the soil itself, it contains a lot of those parts. So we don't have a clear sense of how many people were killed.
So the number is way higher than
probably
reported.
Probably.
That's inhuman.
We're not gonna make this. We're not gonna make this a white racist attack, okay? Because we're trying to keep it light.
But that's what's so surprising, though, when they deal with history. And this is why I think one of the reasons they fired the brother from American Gods, because he said that they were trying to manicure and control what images they put out.
Oh yeah.
But when you start to touch on history or African mythology, you're bringing in elements that come with a history of their own.
Right.
And if you want to sidestep that, you're gonna have a problem.
Yeah, I heard Orlando Jones giving his interview about it. I think it was from his Twitter page. He was saying that they were trying to tone it down because Mr. Anansi was too angry or anything like that. And he was fiery speeches. I'm like, shit, that was stuff that needed to be said. That was the best. That was the selling point of the whole show. If you take it out there, what am I watching? Why would I care?
He is the embodiment of the African in America.
Right.
So why would you try? Well, you know what? That just goes to show you how they want us to be.
So I shouldn't be surprised if they fired him from the show.
I mean, look at Boondocks. When Magruder left, the show tanked.
Yeah.
It tanked. Just like Living Color, it tanked.
But controlling that masculine image seems to be a consistent part of this dynamic. Because what is it? Sam Paula Boy commented about Hooded Justice, in Watchmen, and the revelation that he was gay.
He was gay, or at least bisexual.
Right, because he wasn't. He not only was he, having sex with men. It was which man was he having sex with?
Yeah, the white, blue-eyed, blonde-haired white man. Which is was I told Artisan, I said, "Hey man," I said, "you got to check the episode 6 out, man." I said, "You're gonna have a problem with it."
Yeah, I will send you the audio of what I said about that shit because that was.
They went the Dear White.
It was shocking. It was that episode itself was really shocking, and I was stirred up over that episode just in general because for me, what I saw at the end of the day, it didn't matter what a black man did; he was just going to be used as a sex object or as a token or whatever the fuck. And nobody necessarily gave a shit about his problems, what he was dealing with, or anything.
You know what? Other than that, what's really bothered me is that. Even in the 1940s, his wife, who was the little girl that he saved at the beginning of the show, right?
Yeah.
She. How are you the boss of the family? How are you the boss of the family? Basically, this is the gynocracy. You telling him he's the hero.
Yes.
Well, I was pissed, BGS, because one, she started him kind of on that path with the makeup and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
She did. Then at a point when he yelled at his son, then she want to get up and leave, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, get the hell out of here. You know what he was doing this whole time. This has been years. This kid is like 5 or 6 now, right? So he's been doing it some years. Now you want to leave. But then later on in the show, you come back and you want to pick up the granddaughter. But you ain't never told this boy about what his father was really doing. Exactly. So the boy has this warped concept of what his dad is.
The people in mask are mean or evil.
Right. But then look to it, the narrative, right? So she's the upstanding leader of the family, and he's having sex behind her back with a white man. The whole trope of the down low black male.
Yeah.
So whether you're dealing with Sister Knight or whether you're dealing with Hooded Justice wife, there's still this underlying notion of weak, emasculated black males who are fundamentally undermining the black family dynamic by not following the gynarchy. You know what I mean?
Even Cal, before he came out as Dr. Manhattan.
That's a good one.
He was still the wife. Go ahead, don't jump in, Bitter Truth. Jump in.
Me to watch this?
Yes. Hey, all I can say is 2 words. Nigga. You just for the images you have to watch it because there's tons of images in this. They're gonna be breaking down this series for 10 years, man, because there's so many images in this thing. So many.
Somebody like you, Bitter Truth, you would get into it.
You get into it.
Shit.
Yes.
You're breaking that down.
You'll be breaking it down.
Every episode.
because they show scenes of Germans dropping leaflets on soldiers and black soldiers in World War One, saying the Germans telling, "Why are you fighting for America when America treats you like slaves?" and that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of images that you will really get into, like the what they call the Cyclops is the Klan, and Hooded Justice is fighting against the Klan. So there's a lot of images that you would get into just to break it down. Like there's something that they were trying to get across.
Piss me off.
It's gonna piss you off. And I'm not gonna say it's not gonna piss you off. It's gonna piss you off. But the thing is, once you start watching and seeing the images, you gotta, you'll get into it.
Man, don't make me be looking at my next door neighbor with hate in my eyes.
Hey, like you don't already. Like you don't already. Hey, we're trying to bring that old conscious community soul out of you, man. You try to keep it buried.
I don't hate her. I just pet pity her. Like, oh, you're such a freaking idiot. They don't know. Like, I mean, I'm in Atlanta. It's Chocolate City.
Yeah.
On my street, I only have one white family.
Okay.
That happens to live next door. We wasn't even here a month, and I get a phone call saying that the neighbor, the lady, put a watermelon on the porch.
Oh,
okay.
He like, what? Yeah.
That's a new one. That ain't heard that one in a while.
I got one question. Was it sweet? Was it sweet?
Sitting on the counter.
Okay.
So I took it out in the backyard because my backyard is sloped. So I threw it down the hill. I let the wild animals have it. And I started to go knock on her door. But I was like, no, I'll catch her outside. And I was like, let me calm down too.
Oh, yeah.
So I caught her outside. And her and I had a discussion.
Discussion.
Okay. And she was like, well, I didn't mean anything by it. I was like, well, you have to understand. And I knew she was going to say that. And I was like, I know you understand the optics. You know, we're black, you're white. Like, oh, is it a racial thing? I was like, well, yeah.
If she dropped a bucket of chicken, then you'll know for sure she wasn't.
Hey, if she gonna put the watermelon, she might as well put the bucket of chicken. Okay.
Yeah.
At the very least, make it complete.
They turned up a watermelon patch in her front yard, and I'm like, and she said,
could have put the cooler out there.
Neighbors, and I'm like, these black folks took watermelons from the only white people on the block who got a watermelon patch in the front yard. Are y'all dumb or is y'all stupid? What guy, dude? Less than I would say it was last month, early last month. A black guy walking down the street. You know, me and my niece on the porch, we talking. He stopped and talked to the neighbor. She out front, and they talking, and he just a skinning and grinning.
Mm.
So sure enough, next thing I know, he walking past the house with a watermelon up under his arm.
Oh Jesus!
And I said, "You took the watermelon, huh?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I bet it's good." I was like, "Yeah, I bet it is too." And you know, my niece wanted to say something so bad. I was like, "Ah."
We might have found him, huh?
Don't let me.
The imagery as far as that is still alive. You know, for some reason I was thinking about what's the movie where Denzel and Julia Roberts was in together?
Pelican Reef.
Pelican Reef. Yeah. And that was supposed to be, you know, those two characters, to my knowledge, were supposed to actually get together, right?
Yeah, yeah.
They were.
You know, now I know Denzel had something to say about it, but at the end of the day, seeing that image, you know, they still didn't want to have. It's 2019. As many interracial couples as we see every day, you still don't see a lot of it on the screen. Yeah. So when I go back to Star Wars, the whole question of Finn and Rey in all three movies, that to me is the crux of it. Where that's still, because when, and this is something Dr. Curry breaks down in his book, The Man Not. When you look at the family on the plantation,
right,
white man and woman were the father and mother, and the slaves were the children.
Yes.
So this whole question of black men with white women has to do with a particular perception of what masculinity is. And if black men are removed from that dynamic, there's this kind of narrative where there's a certain type of manhood or masculinity that black men are not allowed to achieve. So in 2019, it wasn't coincidental for me to see Finn as basically a child.
He is, yeah,
in the first movie, and never really being worthy of Rey.
No,
right? Because of this whole dynamic of gender.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You know what's sad? Like I've been on Snapchat, and every day I always see these advertisements. I was trying to say advertisements and stories about mixed race couples, but they're never black man, white woman.
No, black woman, white man.
You're seeing a lot of commercials like that.
And I'm like, man, they're not trying to push an agenda. But
well, that's what I told. I'm sorry about that. Go ahead, babe.
You're fine.
I was going to say that's what I told BGS about the Watchmen when they revealed that Cal was Dr. Manhattan. Yeah, so BGS, I said, man, that's somebody's wet dream, ain't it? That white man turned himself into a black man just to be with a black woman.
I know, yeah. hey, white Jesus.
Into a bar in Saigon.
You gotta remember, Dr. Manhattan is white Jesus, right? He's resurrected. Yeah. Yes. So white Jesus turned himself into a black man to be with a black woman.
Right.
Symbolically, what does it mean that she has to kill him to get her white Jesus back?
She had to kill the black man.
She had to kill the black man because he was in a black man's body.
I told you that scene where she's walking toward him with a hammer.
Yeah, it did. Every black man was talking about that scene with the hammer.
Oh man, that was deep.
It was deep.
That was deep.
You got to watch this bit of truth. You got to binge watch this bit of truth.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not going to ask you more questions. You see, I just been sitting here listening to y'all talking. Why should I watch this? I'm trying to find a reason.
Because there's so many archetypes and images that they throw into this series. I mean, even the first episode, they just hammer you with all these archetypes, man. It's just like you spend a week just breaking down one show. I mean, basically online, man, they said they find like 80 Easter eggs in one show, in one episode.
Is it white woke garbage, or is it black consciousness stuff, or is it?
It's all mixed in.
It's mixed together.
You know, at some point they just brought a bunch of people into the writing room and wanted to be able to say it was a diverse cast of writers or something, but it's a hodgepodge.
Yeah.
But you can tell what the agenda is, because the very last episode of the season, the implication about who is the new God
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
You know, so you start out with a white male god, and then you move to a black male god who's fallible and fails, and then the transition kicks in, and it's an interesting set of symbolic statements.
Statements, and basically, one thing it is anti-white supremacists, because they really get their they really get a bad name in this series, all the way from the opening, from the opening scenes to almost ending scenes when they get taken out at the very end, when Lady Truth takes them out with the lasers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
what do you think of the symbolism of that, BGS?
Huh?
I said, what did you think of the symbolism of that, BGS, in terms of Lady True dealing with them?
Okay. Okay. I'm not gonna get in too much trouble with this. Basically, who's replacing the white man right now as we speak?
Are y'all spoiling this for me right now?
No.
I don't know. I mean, do you? I mean, you're listening. You want it spoiled?
This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna turn down my speaker. And when it's all done, T. Hassan, just snap your fingers at the camera, and my speakers are down in 3, 2, 1.
Okay. All right. Okay. Who's replacing the white man? Who's taking the white man out as far as white supremacy concerned? Basically trying to take his place
Internationally.
Mm-hmm. The Chinese, the Asians, right? The Chinese, right?
Yep.
Okay. So Lady True is the white man's trying to regain his, underneath underneath white supremacy, right? With this group, they're trying to take Dr. Manhattan's power and put the white man back where he's supposed to be, right? Because they've been taking a beating, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Lady True is going to basically eliminate him, and what is she going to become? She's going to become the Asian god, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, they're taking his place.
Even though she's the child of what's his name?
Ozymandias. Well, basically, Ozymandias. But the thing is, guess the modern Asian economy is a child of what?
Yes,
it's a child of Western civilization, right?
It is, especially post World War II. Yes.
Yeah. So basically, that is it. And at the very end, with Angela taking the egg and getting ready to step on the water, guess who that represents? The next up and coming who?
The next up and coming
guy, which is Africa, right?
Africa.
Yeah,
the white man is scared of the black man, right? But who do they, if they have to be under somebody, who do they want to be under? The black woman.
Who they have a relationship
with, right?
Through slavery. But the interesting element to that, symbolically, again, going back to Sister Night, is that in many ways she becomes the symbolic replacement of white women in a very particular kind of way, in terms of some people's aspirations. What we can debate about whether or not that's realistic, but that's what the symbolism kind of leads out. She becomes the replacement, because notice Manhattan's ex-girlfriend is there the whole time. The FBI.
Right.
She's there the whole time, but she has no relationship, no connection really, other than she knew what he was doing. But there's no formal connection beyond that. He's connected to Sister Night. So what are they saying?
That is, I mean, I understand what could be the plot elements, because she's the granddaughter of the first Minuteman, of the first Watchman. So that's part of it. Since Dr. Manhattan was a Jewish exile, escaping Germany, and the black man, the Jewish people went through their Holocaust, just like black people went through their Holocaust. So there's a lot of things that we're going to be dissecting this, exactly what they're trying to get across. So I suspect, I'm suspect that there's an undercurrent of Hollywood that put a lot of money into this series, because because there's no way that you can say that this is just a regular HBO budget. They spent way too much money on this series.
A lot of money. They got a lot of leeway, I would think. Just from the first episode of, like, I never thought I'd see something like that on television.
Never. And basically, they didn't hold back any punches either.
They were not pulling a punch.
Yeah.
Like, damn. They let them do this? I mean, this is coming after Game of Thrones. It's like,
even when he was when the Hooded Justice was going up against the Klan, and he killed the Klan members in that theater when they were trying. Yeah,
exactly.
A lot of this stuff is brutal.
Yeah. That episode itself was something else.
They had all kind of messages mixed in with this.
They did. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, I haven't even looked into it to see who actually wrote this, and I think it's like Tia-san said, it might have been a group of writers sitting in a room.
I want to see them out. I want to see who greenlighted this. That's who I want to see.
Exactly. So yes, it's okay. You can do whatever.
Because just the first 5 minutes was raw meat for black people.
Yeah.
Okay. Which I would have never expected. That's what caught me off guard and had me coming back every week was, why are they doing this? What are they trying to say?
What are they trying to say? Yep.
And you couldn't predict where it was going to go.
Yeah.
No. Are y'all done?
Yeah. We're done with the spoilers. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I think you were gonna watch it, man. So I didn't think it was.
No, I'm gonna give it a shot, and if I have to, I'll go ahead. I'll do an episode by episode review.
Yeah, I think it deserves it. I think I have to do it because it deserves it.
No, I can't.
You can't.
Damn it! I got the state job. I can't.
Yeah. Okay. You can't do a review. Okay.
You can watch it.
I can't jeopardize this revenue stream.
Oh, okay. White man holding you back already.
I can no longer work for the company that I was working for.
Okay.
So I had to.
You had to cleanse your social media, huh?
Yeah, like I had to delete my Twitter and all my videos on my channel or private. Well, all the the good ones that we talk about.
Okay.
Well,
I gave me 2 community strikes in the middle of me doing that.
What, in the middle of which one?
Of me privatizing my videos.
Oh yeah. They're on. Well, somebody has a link somewhere that and it reported you.
No. This happened the night that I was doing it.
Yeah. Oh, really?
No strikes. So okay. I'm going through my list and I'm privatizing my videos, and all of a sudden I get an email. I'm like, why is YouTube emailing me? And then I get another email, and this is like right when I was finished. So I looked at the emails, and they're like, "You have a strike," and then you have a strike. I'm like, but I'm privatizing the videos. Why are you striking them now? And these were old videos.
No,
whatever.
I wanted to ask Artisan, because I've been a 40-year comic book collector, but I never delved into the Star Wars series that deeply. That wasn't really my vein. Is that one of the ones you delved into?
Star Wars mostly in the novels, not in the comics. The extended universe in the comics, though, I read them on Dark Horse here and there. The new stuff that Marvel is doing, I haven't read any of that stuff. I really haven't. I know the Vader was good just from conversations with other guys who have read it.
The latest one?
Vader is really good.
Yeah, the last Vader one was good, and I passed Mace Windu off to somebody else. But otherwise, I just see all of those as like they're standalone comics just because Disney owns that property. And so any character you've seen in the movie probably has a comic now. Doesn't mean the comics are overly good, but they go, Mickey gonna have them hoes on the street. It don't matter.
Yeah, you ain't lying. They all gotta, like I say, gotta go. Yeah.
That's a cool visual right there, though. That's a cool visual. But let me pose this question to everybody on here, though. Especially if you've read the material outside of the movies, what missed opportunities did you guys see in this latest trilogy?
Yeah,
based on what could have happened. What missed opportunities did you see?
The biggest one.
You got a Facebook fan on Dr. Johnson.
What's that?
You got a Facebook fan in the chat.
Oh, that's my boy Kyle. That's what's up.
Okay.
The
All right.
biggest one they missed out on was not delving into the lore. You could have done a whole trilogy, or matter of fact, you ain't even have to do a trilogy. You could have just done standalone movies or trilogies. You could have did a trilogy on Darth Vader. Okay, on his years, once him and Palpatine took control of the Empire. You could have little movies with that, with his adventures.
Well, they say they're going that way.
Too late.
Too late.
Why? It is never too late for Disney. I'm
Okay, you know what? You're right. I feel like this. Right now, the Mandalorian is restoring people's faith. Hopefully, Obi-Wan, because Obi-Wan is being done by Brenda Childs. She's the one who did episode 3 and episode 7 of The Mandalorian. And people are saying that those are the 2 best episodes. Okay, in The Mandalorian, because if you're not familiar with it, this is when the Mandalorian was up under he was facing his greatest adversaries. So with her doing the Kenobi series, if she sticks true to form like she's doing with the Mandalorian, it's going to be a really good show. This whole series with you could have done something with. You can still do something with Boba Fett. You can save Solo, but you're gonna have to get rid of Aaron Alderreich, that wooden guy. You're gonna have to get rid of him. You got to recast Solo.
You didn't like him? I didn't care. I thought he worked as a young Solo.
Would Boba Fett work as a series just like the Mandalorian?
No.
Yeah.
You think so? Or no?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. Because the Mandalorian took that shine now. So it's like, why would you watch a Boba Fett Solo?
You know what they need to do?
Everybody's into the
So first off, what's going on?
Hey, Tareen, what's going on?
What's going on? You know what they need to do? And I'm surprised no one said it yet.
What's that?
They need to get rid of Kathleen Kennedy.
Oh,
I think she's gone already.
She is the real Emperor Palpatine.
Yeah.
That's what she's describing herself as.
Right.
They need to get rid of her and Ryan Johnson.
Well, Ryan, after that whole debacle, he was done. Because after from word on the street is that after they had the controversy with The Last Jedi, she got pulled into the office and dressed down by Bob Iger. So this is why they brought in, of course, your boy, who?
J.J.
No,
Abrams.
the other guy, the one that was over Marvel. Kevin Feige. Dave Filoni. This is why she don't give a damn about what happens with this movie, because this was her last movie. She's out. They're going to reassign her because they can't fire her because of the optics, but they're going to reassign her and they're going to turn it over to Filoni and Feige. Okay,
and hopefully,
and you want to know what else? Dude, who was those 2 guys that did the last season of Game of Thrones? What's their names?
Oh, Lloyd Miller. Yeah, they got fired.
They got fired. They're not on the new trilogy.
Right, they got fired.
The thing is, they gave us a trash last season of Game of Thrones, all because they wanted to go and do Star Wars. When what now they're not going to do because they got fired. So you wasted a whole last season for one of HBO's most successful shows, but something that you didn't even get to do.
That's their business, though. That's their business.
Bob Iger didn't sign off on them. He saw that last season of Game of Thrones and realized that, wait a minute, I should be signing who's the guy who did Game of Thrones, the author?
George R.
What's his name?
George R. Martin.
Yeah, like I should be hiring George R. Martin to do Star Wars. I might as well call George back. You guys still don't know how to do anything outside of
it would be nice to put George and George together.
Well, George is coming back.
George Lucas is coming back?
Yeah, George Lucas is coming back. Dave Filoni. He's going to help walk Dave Filoni through a lot of this stuff, through a lot of the new stuff that they're about to do.
Yeah, they're going to do more of George Lucas's ideas.
That's why I asked Artisan about, you know, the comics here, because there's so much rich history already that they could be pulling on. You know, you can bring people in and that's all great, but it's already there. There's so much of a legacy there that's not being touched. But in terms of missed opportunities, I was gonna say two real quick things. One, I think was it Andos 88 said it. He said it well. The Knights of Ren is really a missed opportunity in this latest movie. There's nothing really. You don't have any sense of who the hell they are. But
they still show up.
What is, you know, they never explained the relationship between her
that's what I mean.
and Ren. You know, it's like what's
the Knights of Ren are students of Luke Skywalker, just like Kylo.
Okay.
But you have none of that and no clarity on that in the movie.
Exactly. They're Force users too. They're Jedis.
You don't. Here's the thing. Here's the
situation with them, like you said, it was completely wasted.
Yeah.
I wasn't supposed to.
And get this, because y'all know that for the Rise of Skywalker, there were a bunch of leaks. Every leak that went out was in the movie. Every last leak. So if you saw all the leaks, you pretty much saw the whole movie.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna tell you one of the things I hoped was gonna be in it, and this was my other thing as far as a lost opportunity. I was hoping they'd bring Mace Windu back.
No.
You bringing everybody back. I want to see Samuel Jackson come back in. I want that lightsaber lighting people up.
You want to know what's so crazy?
I like coming in one of these movies that Kathleen Kennedy is doing. I don't want to see anybody else I like. No black men. I don't even want to see Captain Banaka in this. I don't want to see no black men.
He said,
how come
you took it way back? You took it back to the first prequel.
Man, I don't want to see the black man in this movie again. No, because you killing me.
Back to what Yvonne mentioned, the reason why Marvel is so successful and Star Wars is failing is because Kevin Feige dipped into the lore. He went into the books. I mean, he tweaked it for the movies. And really the movies are an offshoot of Marvel's Ultimate line. That's why Peter Parker is still a teenager. That's why he's still a kid. Because in the Ultimate line, the Avengers are, of course, adults, but Spider-Man, he's still in high school. He's like 14, 15 years old.
Right.
You know? So in Civil War, their Civil War that happened, it's pretty much the same thing, except it wasn't over the Accords or whatnot. But they dipped into the lore. They dipped into the old lore and the new lore with the Ultimate line, and they put it together in the movie. And of course, they had to change. You know, Thanos is the reason why he was after the Infinity Stones. Okay, because originally he was doing it to win the heart of Lady Death. Okay, who's the one who got him on the path of being a serial killer, the ultimate serial killer. But they had to change that. But it worked. It worked. In an 11-year stretch, 21 movies. I don't count Captain Marvel. 21 movies. It worked. And nobody has ever seen anything like this in cinematic history. And of course, they're getting ready to do it again with X-Men and Fantastic Four.
Okay, well, hold on. Wait, to New Jersey Prophet, he said Mace Windu was at the bottom of Coruscant. Yeah, but the thing you'll notice in the latest Star Wars is everybody falling off everything. I didn't watch the Star Wars marathon all over again. Kenobi fell. Sidious fell. Everybody done fell off something. He could have survived it.
Wait, are you talking about fan fiction Star Wars?
Nah, the movies.
Oh, yeah, you're talking about Disney fan fiction.
Yeah, well,
fan fiction. Yeah, well, we don't count those. Star Wars.
I'll just say that.
What's also so crazy? A lot of people had a lot of stuff to say about the prequels, but when they saw this Disney one, they was like, you know what? I take it back. The prequel ones are better.
Yeah.
And why is it with a little bit of the lightsaber battles that they do have, and they very are small scenes? Why does it seem like they are? When they're fighting with the lightsabers, they're making it seem like they're fighting with a 10-pound dumbbell. Like it's not heavy. Like how they were like, for instance, some of the best lightsaber battles, like I would say for me in the prequels, of course, everyone knows the Darth Maul one. That's a go-to one. The part where when Yoda finally fought Count Dooku in the second one.
Yeah.
And then of course Anakin versus Obi-Wan in the third one.
Yeah.
When they were doing those fights, they were doing it flawlessly and able to move. But in these Disney ones, they moving it like they are struggling.
Well, even Yoda Insidious,
there's no skill in it.
Right.
Yoda Insidious was wicked.
Right. Because those guys, the prequels, it was artistry.
Right.
Artistry. It was like they swinging nunchucks and and clashing and flipping. It was beautiful.
Yeah, they actually studied with the same guy who I think taught Mark Hamill in the beginning. So he's like a master swordsman, and and he's the one who trained for the Anakin and Obi-Wan fight, right? Yeah. But you look at the guys in this one, they are not training with any swords masters. That's why they swing lightsabers like baseball bats and shit. Yes. Like you couldn't even get a martial arts guy, y'all right in Hollywood. I mean, get a stunt coordinator, somebody.
And then with the mouse.
Yeah, come on, man. Come on.
I don't look. I'm really fighting to not give away too many things on this last movie.
What the hell? Go ahead.
Go ahead and do it. Listen, I didn't watch the movie, and I watched nothing but people
Go ahead.
And I laugh each and every time.
Go ahead. Save these off.
One thing.
Yeah. Is it?
The way I watched it, I will send you the link in your Twitter.
Okay. Everybody in the chat, if you don't mind spoilers, you're okay with spoilers, hit a 1.
Please I'll put a 1 for you, and it'll be my 1 is. Listen, I'm typing it now. There's my 1. Boom. There you go.
If you don't mind spoilers, hit a 1.
Okay. I follow suit.
You said 1 infinity.
1,000. Okay, all right. I see the word.
All right. Okay. All right. Go ahead. Well, then go for it. Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Well, we find out in this one that that Luke is not the last Jedi Master teacher, right? That apparently, and they kind of just retcon this in that Leia is the new Master teacher. So. Well, and I think they did it to clean up the critiques, because in the last one she's floating in space using the Force.
Yeah,
and she never trained.
Yeah,
that was Mary Poppins.
I mean, Leia was trained by Luke. Leia was.
But that's the thing. They say it in this one that she was trained by Luke, and then the scene you finally get to see, she beats Luke, right? So. Much the same way we saw Rey beat Luke. So we go back to my rules, because I'm saying there's a new set of rules for Star Wars. Right. The first of which is that women don't lose fights. Nope. Most particularly lightsaber battles, they don't lose. Women are better at tech. Yeah. STEM fields, they're better at tech.
You know what pissed me off when they were trying to find the planet, the Sith planet, right? And nobody knew where the name of it, had even heard about it, right? And guess who knew about the planet? Because she read it in Luke's journals and she translated it. It was Mary Sue, Ray. I know it. Yeah.
The Ray of Light?
Yeah, I heard, based on the spoilers, I heard they Mary Sue the
man. She's stopping a transport in midair, man, with her powers.
Come on, man, get the fuck out of here.
Well, I'm not surprised that Leia beat Luke in the battle. After all, didn't she go space surfing in The Last Jedi?
Yeah, Mary Poppins.
Oh, that's what you call her, Mary.
Instead of a force bubble, all she needed was an umbrella.
Well, one of the more subtle ones, you finally get to see the Resistance, and if you look close, we haven't really seen the Resistance as much as we did in the original, episode. What is it? The original New Hope and Empire. When you see the Resistance now, they're mostly women.
Yeah,
overwhelmingly so.
Yeah,
it's very woke culture-ish. It's very Black Lives Matter kind of, but it's all white for the most part, and the Resistance is almost all women. And so it's interesting to see these kind of shifts, because I'm that's the things I look for. I'm like, what are they saying with this?
And basically, if you look at the other side, it's almost all male. So basically, basically the Empire is a patriarchy.
Yeah. That's one of the things I said in my review. I said in this trilogy, the resistance is a matriarchy, the empire is a patriarchy, and when you see the matriarchy win at each step, there are statements being made.
Yeah.
Can I say something like in real world, like in all honesty, this whole white feminist, well, there's only one feminist in the world, and that's white. Everybody else are lapdogs and blackens, flunkies and slaves.
Right.
When feminists call themselves trying to take down the patriarchy, the stupidity of that is that they don't seem to understand that if you win, society collapses. Flat out. Because you're not go out there and vote and repair bridges, do all that welding and make new buildings and pave roads and do any type of cable laying. I'm talking about en masse. Okay, not you got 2 or 3 people here working construction, holding the stop and go slow sign. Okay, doing the literal physical back-breaking work. You're not going to be dangling 50 stories up, washing windows off the side of a skyscraper in the middle of a windy downtown. You're not doing any of that. You're not going to be spending your days, 10 to 12-hour days, walking alongside a garbage truck. Okay, all of these jobs that men do, these back-breaking jobs that men do in order to keep society functioning,
right?
Just on the physical level, and I'm even talking about the intellectual level, like keeping the generators going for that powers all of this electricity and the heating units and all of that stuff. That takes intelligence, okay, and it's dangerous.
But the problem,
electricians get killed on the job,
but
the wire.
Go ahead, Dr. Johnson.
But the problem is, in either the matriarchy they show or the patriarchy they show, black men are at the bottom. What was Finn in the Empire?
He was a trash man.
He was basically a glorified janitor. But if you look at him in the Resistance, they made him a general. But there was this interesting moment where him and Jen, the new black girl interest, they're coming into the fight, and she says to him, you had a good teacher as far as the thing he's writing on. And she identifies herself as his teacher. And I'm watching this and I'm like, this is real interesting. In the matriarchy, he and I guess Lando are the only black males that you really see, but they just follow orders. Even within their positions, they take their cues. If we look at Poe in the last Jedi, his whole conflict with Leia and what's the other general that crashes the ship?
Holdo.
They treat him like a 5-year-old. But they treat him like a 5-year-old, like an errant child that needs to be spanked. This is the perception of men. And how they see men. You're either the ultimate villain in the Empire, or you're a petulant child that needs to be directed by the Gynarchy. So this whole notion that women lead the Resistance, men need to follow. There's another couple rules. One of them is men no longer rescue women. You get this moment with Ben toward the end, but that's really kind of it. You're no longer really allowed to see men rescue women anymore. Women can rescue men.
Wait, black women are gonna protest against that one. Black women are gonna protest against that one, boy.
You know what I'm saying? That's why you want to take it. And this is what I tell women. If you really think that men ain't shit and we worthless and you strong and independent, don't call me when he whooping on your ass. Don't call me when the Asian man beat your ass. Don't call me when you get snatched up in white vans. Don't call me when none of this shit jump off, because you strong and independent and I ain't shit.
What's the first thing we hear when those situations happen? Even if there's not a black man on the scene, what's the first thing?
Where's the man at?
Where's the black man at?
Why wasn't he protecting her? Right. But you're educating a generation of boys by telling them their girls are stronger, smarter, more effective, and don't need to be rescued. What do you expect?
And then I remember I was on Facebook a couple years ago, and I had asked the question: would you, if you have kids and under of a certain age, would you take them to the gun range? Most of the people who responded were women, said no. So you don't even want your kids protecting themselves. Because you know you ain't going to protect them either if something pops off.
Until something happens, and then it's a problem with why men didn't protect. But here's the last thing I'll say as far as the new rules, and this to me is the most powerful, is that women are inherently pure from the beginning to the end. And if you watch this latest one, and you see the redemption of Ben Solo, right? It's at the hands of women. So women have a natural purity, and you saw this in Last Jedi with Holdo and Leia as well. They have a natural, and Rey, and all three. They have a natural purity that men need to follow, but men are not capable of having that natural purity anymore. That purity that Luke kind of had. Yeah, we don't see that anymore. It's primarily women.
You know what? Society would go to pot, and I tell women, just like I tell black folks. If you don't like the way society is being run, go build your own shit. Go live amongst yourselves. If you don't like it, go live amongst yourselves. I even had a movement started, but nobody wanted to do it because everybody just want to bitch and complain. And that's the way I see them when they talk like that. You're just bitching and complaining. Because if you really wanted to live in a society where women were running things, there are about 15 ghost towns that you can buy. The most expensive one is 1.2 million. Okay, y'all can get y'all little lesbian feminist money together and go get it fixed, buy it, get it fixed up, and go live there. And you ain't got to worry about no man.
Prove it, yeah. Prove it in your actions.
Yeah, stop it and go do it.
I agree with Kendra that Kylo would have been a much better story arc.
I think so. Kylo and Finn. Personally, I think Finn. The story really should have been about Finn. I mean, he's a defunct stormtrooper.
Yeah.
They should have showed him doing his whole part.
They completely wasted his character. He was just there. He was like furniture that you just had to like stare at, unfortunately.
Like a puppy. He was a puppy.
And kept chasing after Rey.
Yeah.
You like to have that white puss, though.
If you notice, every Mary Sue has to have a beta male orbiter.
Yeah.
When black women, all women want a beta male orbiter. They want a bad boy that they have to chase and tame, but they also want at least one or two beta male orbiters that never get anything, that give their faith and give their loyalty for nothing.
Yep, keep validating.
The problem with that is that
I had to figure out. I'm dead serious. Out here, I had to figure out why the STD rates among black women were so high, but they were low amongst black men. You know who else is leading the STD rates here in Atlanta?
What's that? Who's that?
Gay men.
Oh yeah, they always have.
So gay men and black women are leading the charge. And then, I mean, 2 + 2. This is why I don't really. Why these single women are fucking these gay dudes.
Oh yeah.
On some, well, it's just sex type thing. It's just sex. Just pretend, and they're spreading.
Well, no, that was weaponized against black men years ago. The way that was positioned is that it was down low black men, especially black men out of prison, and they were the reason. And they were lying to women across the board. So they almost became responsible. This was probably what? How long ago was this, BGS?
At least 20 years ago, 25 years ago.
Yeah, the narrative was that it was all these black men's fault.
Yeah,
all that they were lying. So you get this kind of subtext, but that's kind of how it comes out.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of black women secretly sleeping with the gay men for eons, man. Marrying them. I know lots of gay men that got married to black women, had babies, had families with them,
and knew that they was gay. That's why when y'all talking about this show, I'm like,
Watchmen. Go watch the Watchmen.
Oh yeah. Bay's gonna be holding his hat when he watches the Watchmen. I can tell you.
Right. Especially on that episode.
Yeah. Yeah. He's gonna be holding his hat. Like what the? Don't hey Bay.
Yeah.
Put your weapons away when you watch it though, okay?
But you know what? They actually, you know how when that particular scene came up, it didn't surprise me because remember Oh, I don't want to spoil anything because you didn't watch it yet.
Hold on.
He's gonna turn it down. He's gonna turn it down.
So on you got 20 seconds. 1, 2, 3, go.
Okay, the part in the episode, I think it was the episode before that, when he was watching that gay porno in Hooded Justice was.
Oh yeah.
That was the hint right there. So when they showed it in the episode, I was like, "Oh, that's where they went from."
That's where they were going to. I didn't think they would go there, but they did.
Neither did I. I saw that and it's like, what the hell? I was like, okay, so this is just a retelling. And then the next episode, it's like, oh, I guess it was supposed to be true.
There's some truth behind it, yeah.
But the character development was horrible. There was nothing to suggest that he was gay before that.
No,
I didn't really see anything. Did you?
No, nothing there. It just came and then it went out because that was. I think that was one more button or one more card punch on their card that they needed.
Yeah,
and they needed that male gay audience, and they checked that off. Like, okay, black butt, gay males, done.
Yep.
But slip in lying to his wife down low so you can have that narrative that
black women love the Watchmen. I can tell you that. Regina King and the kick-ass black females and the weak black males. Oh, they loving this.
And it's become the popular narrative. I mean, even in The Mandalorian, as much as I like that show, there's a new character. Well, she's been around a couple episodes. I can't recall her name. Real big.
Oh, I know you're talking about.
Cara Dune.
Yeah, she's beating down men left and right. And my whole thing with this, and I keep trying to get this across even in social media, that this whole idea that there are no differences between men and women, everything is everything. And when a woman is abusive to a man, it's laughable, but when a man is abusive, it's a problem. We got to do something about it. But don't forget, there's no differences between men and women. And then you watch these shows and you see women kicking. Their strength is always demonstrated at the expense of men.
Yeah.
And that's
the popular narrative now that I see is that these women, as much as they hate masculinity, they can never flex any real strength unless they're acting in a masculine fashion.
But you know what? You know what is getting them now, and they're hating it, and they are hating it, is seeing people of the T class of the Alphabet Academy get into their sports realms and whooping their ass with it.
It's disrupting the narrative.
Right.
It's disrupting the narrative because as long as you keep men and women's sports, for example, separate, you can keep the narrative that there's no difference. But as soon as you get that becomes a problem.
Yeah.
Because there's a clear, you see the differences playing out.
Well, it has to be against males because males are the measuring stick.
Yeah, exactly.
Because their power doesn't mean anything if it's against another female.
So what you get out of that equation, like think about Wonder Woman, the Wonder Woman movie. She walks into that bar full of soldiers, right? And the next thing is she's throwing everybody around.
Yeah.
And then by the time you get to the end, when you get to Dr. Poison, the female, scientist who's poisoning people, Wonder Woman just looks at her. And she walks away. There's no accountability. There's no, punishment. It's just, so you get women's strength without any type of accountability. And I think it sets up a precedent that's becoming more and more of a problem. But we're seeing it everywhere. I mean, even Mandalorian, when he's fighting against the woman I just mentioned, what's her name, Gina?
Card.
They come to a draw.
Yeah, they do.
We're not allowed to see women lose. So in Star Wars, women don't lose.
But you know what's so funny? It's funny you mentioned Wonder Woman because guess what? She's going to have her chance to fight up against a female creature in the new movie.
Yep.
Oh, what's the Cheetah?
Cheetah. And Cheetah is actually one of her biggest adversaries. Like she's actually lost to her, so she had to get a whole new armor just to fight her. So we about to see what that's going to look like.
And I'll give the trailer some props. I mean, she was swinging on lightning with her lasso.
Yeah, they did a good job on their trailer. Their trailer blew Black Widow's trailer out the water.
Oh,
it had more pump. And the Wonder Woman trailer had more pump. It's like, damn, I want to see this movie now.
And it actually captured the 80s really well, just in there, like with the brightness and everything. I say, yeah, that's the 80s all the way.
Yeah, I think what they should have done for Black Widow, they should have done the same thing that they did for the Punisher. Really
Oh
get
yeah.
into the meat of it, because I
Yeah.
think make her more human and
I
give
think
her a
they're going. I
series.
think looking at the Black Widow trailer, it looks like they're trying to go the Winter Soldier route.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
I don't think I think she's too complex of a character to tell in like a movie. It'd be
Well,
better suited in a series.
And she has a very good backstory because they touched on it a little bit in Age of Ultron.
Mhm.
So I just truly believe, and we all can agree with this, she should definitely got her movie way before Carl Manvers.
Oh yeah. Oh god.
Well, who?
Carl Manvers.
Who?
Captain Mary Sue.
Who?
Never mind.
which to comic readers is just stupid. I mean, she's been a C/D level character for I don't know how long.
Mhm.
But see, even if they actually held it straight to the comic, she wouldn't have been that damn bad because she ain't overly feminist in the comic. They've made her that way over the last 5 to 6 years. She wasn't never that way.
Yeah.
But because they did the stuff that they did in the movies, they just completely changed their character up. It's like, this is garbage, dude.
Do you know how many people were saying that they can't wait for them to bring the X-Men into the MCU so Rogue could take her powers?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Where's the coma? I'm just waiting on the coma.
Yeah. Rogue was actually interesting in that kind of position. So, but yeah.
The question I have for you, Dr. TSI, with all this stuff, because I think I asked this at BGS the last time we were talking, with all the stuff that we're seeing that they're really going hard with this feminism in every movie, everywhere you turn, any space that's left for masculinity or anything like that, they're trying to get in there and put their own narrative in. Mm-hmm. Is this the last gasp of this stuff, or do they just feel overly emboldened? Because I can't tell. I can't tell if this is, the patient thrashing before they slip under the water, or they just know nobody can stop them. They just rolling over everybody.
While they have momentum, they have to do this because once women find out what it's going to do to the society, you can actually start to see the rollback on feminism, because the next generation is seeing what the X's and millennials have done, and they're not liking. In other words, even the men saying we're not down for this, because what's happening is basically men are checking out.
Yeah, and it's the thing is, a lot of this is market driven.
Yeah,
right? It's really not. It's not until the 70s that women even become a significant part of the market, and so it's decades later of industry trying to cater to that dollar. But the problem they have, and I think Artisan brought this up I think you brought up Ghostbusters earlier, right?
Mm-hmm.
The problem they're having though is they're not consulting women about what women want. Right. They're just repackaging things and making it female centered. And then even women don't always want these things. Women didn't see Ghostbusters, right? So the problem is they're losing money, and they're going to have to figure out how to do it. And the first thing you should actually do if you're going to cater to a demographic is ask them what they want. Yeah. And 9 times out of 10, you're not going to get a whole bunch of women that want to see these male industries made female. What was the other one? Ocean's 8?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. In other words, you just can't plug women into a male role and think it's going to happen that way.
Exactly. That's just like with Elizabeth Banks and what she tried to do with that Charlie's Angels thing right there. First off, they said she tried to get her Tyler Perry on. She tried to do everything at one time and be in the movie. And then we all know Bosley is a male character. She made herself Bosley. And then I don't know anybody that was asking for that movie. I'm like, they already remade it into a movie back in the early 2000s, which was successful and way better with people that we actually liked at the time. And then you put all of this together, and then this was her excuse for why it flopped. It flopped because men don't support strong female lead characters. Right. I said, oh, do we need to pull down a list of female leads that we like?
It came out though. What did she say before the movie came out about men going to see the movie? What did she say?
That what I just said, that they don't support it?
No. Before the movie flopped, before the movie came out, what did she say about the movie? And men, do you remember?
That they don't need it. That it wasn't made for them.
Right, like this isn't a movie for you.
For
women. This is about female empowerment. And then it flopped, and then she turned around and got mad and blamed men for it flopping. I'm like,
guess what she's working on now? And guess what she's working on now? She's working on something called The Invisible Woman. And it's not Fantastic Four related. Okay. It's basically a piggyback off of The Invisible Man.
Hold on. Go ahead, Dr. Johnson.
Part of the problem, though, is that if you're going to cater something to women, you got to ask them what they want, and they're not. So in terms of this whole issue of her saying it was men's fault, you can't flop that hard unless women aren't going to the theater either. Exactly. That's the part she didn't want to deal with. But they do have a new Invisible Man movie coming out, and I don't know how many of you saw the trailer for it, but it's set up around a woman whose abusive husband makes himself invisible and tortures her throughout the movie, and then she has to redeem herself. And it's the Julia Roberts movie from I think the 90s where they did that.
Sleeping with the Enemy.
Sleeping with the Enemy. It's basically Sleeping with the Enemy. That's what it is. So you get the same narrative of women having to overcome men either easily or with difficulty.
You know what it reminds me of too? Remember that movie Hollow Man?
Yes.
It reminds me so much of that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you look at I'm not a fan of Warner Brothers, but if you look at the way they do their what they call their badass females, they actually do a much better job of it than everybody else.
Yeah, they do.
You know, if you look at the Watchmen was very female centric. You can't even escape that. The thing is, they did it in such a way that it is believable.
All right.
I think
it wasn't. I would say it wasn't overly offensive to you.
No, it wasn't overly offensive.
Because the most offensive thing is the weakness of the males, but not the fact that she's just doing what she's doing, because they didn't blow it up to look. She's strong because she's overpowering the man. No, she's just doing what she does. She's a police officer. She obviously been trained. She do some shit. That's just what it is. But the problem is, the males are really weak.
Well, I'll give them this. The first time we see Sister Night in a fight, I think remember when they were collecting all the little batteries?
Yeah.
And she busted in the house. She got thrown around.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like she didn't just walk in and wave her hand and everybody flew out the wall. I mean, she got thrown around, and that looked a little more realistic. So it made it realistic enough to watch. Like, okay.
Now you want to know a female character that went through some stuff before she actually became a legendary character, even as a video game character, is Lara Croft in Tomb Raider.
Oh yeah.
Like you watch the most recent one where she it's like her origin. She went through some stuff to get to before she got the two pistols that she was known for having.
Okay.
So she's trained.
Huh?
She's trained.
She's trained. Yeah, she was trained. Like her dad was like an expeditionist or something like that. So she was trained by her dad, but she was thrown out into the wilderness in the middle of nowhere where she had to like build stuff and create fires. Like she was like being a survivor.
300.
She got raised like a man would get raised.
Exactly.
In so many words.
Well, you know that
she was raised. I guess you could say she was raised like a man, but still kept her femininity.
Okay.
That's been Boob Raider forever. That's been Boob Raider forever. They had to revamp that character and trim her down to a little C cup and give her this backstory so they can make it more relevant for today.
Now, how was that last movie? I never watched it.
If you played the Tomb Raider video game, the more recent ones, that movie is based off of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Not the old ones from the 90s that Angelina Jolie did.
Okay.
That's why I said it's the revamp of that character, because they're trying to sell it to a different audience.
Yeah.
Because original Tomb Raider sold to guys more so.
Yeah, because
it's a female and make it more for women to like.
It's a female Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, BGS, you got a question from Rowdy Benoit. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but he's asking about the last Terminator.
I haven't seen the last Terminator, but don't. I mean, basically, you know.
I did not see.
They just feminize the whole plot instead of them trying to save Connor.
Sarah Connor or John Connor.
John Connor, yeah.
I think man termed it right. He said they gyno washed it. They gyno washed 1 and 2, T1 and T2 basically. and just wiped all of that out and replaced it. And I haven't seen it since. I haven't heard nothing about Terminator.
But they had a Mary Sue kind of thing in there too. They introduced a female character we'd never seen before, who was a cyborg.
Yeah.
And the very first, within 10 seconds of seeing her, she beats up a bunch of cops.
Yeah,
and then she fights off the Terminator the whole movie, and so it just I had the same response I had when I first saw Rey in the new Star Wars trilogy. It was like, well, who's a threat? I mean, why am I watching this if there's really no threat? When I remember growing up off of A New Hope, Darth Vader scared the hell out of me.
Yeah,
because you got the feeling that matter of fact, they didn't even put Luke in direct confrontation with Darth in the first movie because there wouldn't have been a fight.
Yeah.
Nope.
But in this one, Rey is just throwing Kylo around, the whole movie. So I'm like, well, where is the threat? And that's what happened in Terminator. It was hard to get worried about anybody because the women didn't need any help.
One of my favorite Terminator movies is Judgment Day. The introduction of the T-1000, but it also showed a badass Sarah Connor. But it was after she actually went through something in the first one. It's not like they just shoehorned her in and she was this badass kick-ass character. Like, she went through some stuff before getting to that point.
And she was psychologically traumatized. She was traumatized. Remember that?
Yeah, that first.
You know what that's like? That's like the latest Halloween movie where you go back and you see the return of
Mike Myers,
Jamie Lee Curtis and Mike Myers. But Jamie Lee's character is psychologically traumatized decades later. That was realistic as hell. I appreciated that. I mean, I like seeing characters that have been through something have to rally, have to come together and figure something out, and then but just walking in and just throwing people around.
Alita Battle Angel is more like a sexual anime for men, for boys.
Sexual anime.
Yeah. She's a cyborg, but the thing is, she's a sex object.
Is she?
Yeah, Alita Battle. Yeah,
I haven't seen
I'd say that would go closer to Ghost in the Shell than Alita Battle Angel.
Ghost in the Shell was horrible.
Even though, the thing is that if you look at how little boys see or boys look at sex symbols, she would fit it.
She's not. I noticed in the trailer for Alita Battle Angel, when she saw the boy, you can look on her face and tell that she had some kind of instant sexual attraction to him.
Yeah, she was attracted to the boy. That was the whole story.
Yeah,
it was for her, and she was interested in the boy.
Yeah,
the boy was more concerned with trying to get up to Zalem.
Yeah,
but the girl was interested in him. So it's basically chasing after this bad boy. That doesn't really care for her, but she's still trying to have a relationship with him.
Yeah, which is normally what happens with pubescent boys. They're not really interested in her, but they have these little girls chasing around. That's that's teen porn almost.
Right.
I do want to say real quickly though about Star Wars, the latest one. There were two things that I liked.
Okay.
Things that I like. First, real quick, I give props to them giving Chewie a medal.
Okay.
Chewie never got his medal from New Hope, so
he didn't get killed. Good.
He got his spaceship though. I wish he'd have kept his spaceship though.
Well, that was the first. The second thing was how they had to handle Leia because we know the actress passed away, Carrie Fisher. I wasn't sure how they were going to do that, and I will say they got a lot more footage recorded before she passed than I thought.
Oh, they got tons of footage, man. They had to recut those films so many times.
Yeah,
they can probably make 10 films out of it.
But I'll say from Rogue One to
good ones
to
you ain't shit, Artisan.
Damn,
good ones.
Good ones, hopefully.
Well, no, they did pretty well with Leia, all considering. Because I wasn't sure if we were going to just see a CG Leia the whole movie or something, and they didn't really do that.
Yeah, Leia was outside the Force bubble.
You can tell that it was cookie cutter.
Yeah.
Because it was just so. I mean, she was saying the lines, and of course, they tailor-made the script to fit around that, cutting room floor footage. But you could tell it didn't fit, that they shoehorned it in, whether you know she was dead or not. It just felt disjointed.
I have never seen so many people survive spaceship crashes in my life. Jesus. Does anybody die in a spaceship crash?
Apparently not.
Not if you're female.
Put on a plastic white suit. You will die in the spaceship.
Okay. Instead of the black people dying, if you're a trooper, you're gonna die automatically.
Yeah, you like the red shirt from Star Trek. Movie, you a stormtrooper. Damn, I'm gonna die.
I'm dead on page 5.
Short day, short scene.
Short scene.
I really do want to hear people's reactions when they do see it, especially the confrontation with Palpatine. There's some elements there I want to hear you guys' reactions to when you get a chance to see it.
Yeah,
I watched so many spoiler rants about this. I feel like I practically watched the movie.
Hey, Tori, do you want
that's your fault, Tori. You shouldn't be watching all the damn spoilers.
I don't get why you would bring Palpatine back. It just,
because
it's big bad because it killed Snoke.
Right.
Yeah, but
effortlessly.
Yeah.
And Kylo Ren is not a good emperor, I guess.
Well, you know what?
This series is a flat lever, man. It's just a flat lever.
You said it right there. Kylo Ren he's not evil enough to carry the film as the main villain. And in all honesty, if you actually would have written him correctly from jump, okay, then you could have let Bryan Johnson go ahead and kill everybody.
Yeah.
And you could have made Kylo, if you have made Kylo beat the ever-loving shit out of Rey. I'll put it like this. Let me take it back. Look, Mark Hamill had the perfect script for episode 7 to where, something happens with Han and Chewie and Leia come flying in and they get Luke and, and they're like, okay, let's go. Mark Hamill had the script written in his head, like, yeah, we gotta save Han and save the galaxy.
Yeah.
And he got the script and was like, what is this bullshit?
Yeah.
He actually, off the cuff of his head, he had a better idea. As a matter of fact, he said when he was reading the script and the part where he said where they were fighting on the planet and it was falling apart, the Death Star planet, and it was falling apart. And he said he read the line where the lightsaber flew past Kylo Ren. He thought he was going to be the one to catch it.
Mm-hmm.
He showed up out of nowhere and was like, last battle. But he's like, Rey caught it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
I thought he called it too.
Yeah. So this is my biggest heartbreak with this series of movies that Disney did. And I was skeptical on Disney, buying this franchise, but I was willing to give them a shot on this. Even with Kathleen Kennedy, she like a Judas because she'd been in George Lucas camp for a long time since that first movie.
Yeah.
And this is just straight up, 30 pieces of silver, and then But the main thing they could have done, to go back to Dr. Tiasan's question earlier, they could have pulled on that extended universe just from the novels.
Yeah, it'd have been better that if Kylo Ren killed Luke, just like Obi-Wan died in the New Hope. Okay,
he didn't even have to kill Luke. For me, the drama in this series, even if you just take it from New Hope or whatever,
right.
I'm forgetting what the hell this damn movies are called because I don't care that much. But even when they had their jump off movie and they introduced his character or whatever, Kylo is still the character in that movie that's more compelling.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
If you set up the 3 movies where with his conflict, yes, Rey's there, yes, Finn is there, but Luke is going to have to come back and fight him.
Yeah.
That is more compelling than having this one female character all of a sudden be the most powerful force
Jedi ever in the universe. Yeah. What I'm saying is
just learned it last week.
What I'm saying is, if you because you wind up having Leia train her anyway, right?
No, and that's
No, if you're gonna do that, make Luke the Obi-Wan character, okay? You know, on that planet where you have this big scene, this big lightsaber scene between him and Kylo Ren, okay, and he's trying to let Finn and Rey escape, just like Obi-Wan did in A New Hope. And he does the same thing. You know what? Okay, you can strike me down, but I'll be more powerful.
Right.
After that,
no,
and it's the same words, and then have Leia train her to be a Jedi. That makes way more sense.
Well, it makes more sense because I'm fine with Leia being a Jedi because she's a Jedi in the books. She ain't better than Luke, but she is a very formidable Jedi in the books.
Right.
I'm fine with that. Her being a master and teaching Rey, okay, I can roll with that too because in the books she has Padawans. I believe she at least had one Padawan, and she had a master who trained her. But it was
her children. In her children, she trained.
And her children.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I would be fine with that, but don't just just kill Luke and then swap her in. It's like, look, we have a new Jedi master. It's a female. It's like, come on, man.
They shoehorned it in. I wasn't.
He was killing every male character. I'm waiting to see if Lando died. He didn't die in this.
No, not he. They started to kill him off, but they didn't.
I wasn't opposed to Leia being a master. I just thought they should have introduced it earlier. They just kind of shoehorned it in. It looked like an afterthought.
You know why?
Even though we know it happened in the books, they didn't really do a lot of preparation for that in this trilogy.
Well, they shot it. Evidently they shot it because she's dead. They shot her training her, but it's just to put it in.
But that's because of Mary Poppins.
No.
I think that is
they had to do that.
Yeah.
Well, Mary Poppins scene, and then after Last Jedi, Mark Hamill came out and he was flaming that movie.
Yeah,
he was flaming that hardcore. And I think that was an editorial thing to just throw him the middle finger and say, okay, we'll just write you out of this shit. We'll see how you like that.
And he said, I got my money.
Did y'all know that Disney Plus is doing an Obi-Wan series?
Oh yeah.
Where they're actually getting the guy who played Obi-Wan in the prequels to play him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing that. If they do it the same way they did The Mandalorian, it's probably be a good series.
Yeah, they'll make some money off of that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if they actually take The Mandalorian as a new direction, if it just becomes a one-off, we get more of what we already been getting. But I hope they follow the cues because The Mandalorian is introducing some stuff.
One of the funniest scenes in The Mandalorian, I think, was not this past episode, but 2 episodes ago, when that droid was about to kill Baby Yoda, and he put his hand out. And then all of a sudden, the Mandalorian shot and killed the droid, and he looked at his hand like he thought he did it.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, okay. I like. It's 2 scenes I like that was in the same episode where he told him he was going to check out the planet, and he told him to stay right there, don't move. And the door opened up, and he was standing there looking at him like, "Well, let's go."
Oh man, nothing.
He was fighting the chick, and then all of a sudden you hear, you look great, sipping the soup.
but nothing beats seeing Baby Yoda go Sith Lord. That was the thing when he actually started choking homegirl.
Yeah,
I was like, oh snap.
Yeah, last episode I was juiced up like, oh, he choking her out. Like, what the my daddy?
Yeah. I'm waiting for him to say, are you my daddy?
Yeah.
like the little duck.
And what's so crazy is Baby Yoda is actually 50.
Yeah.
They live to be 90 years old. Yeah.
That's 5 Yoda species, I guess.
The beauty of the Mandalorian and the Baby Yoda is that they bonded.
Yeah.
They bonded. I mean, Mandalorian really is looking at this kid like that's his son. And Baby Yoda is looking at him like, "Hey, this is my dad."
Right.
They say
he broke the guild code, and he knows he did.
Yeah.
But he didn't care. Like you said, they bonded, and he was like, "I don't want to leave this kid here," and we just met. Like, you can tell he just has a connection. I'm not even gonna lie. That episode when they went to that land or whatever, where they had to fight them, whatever that was, and they said, "You know, why don't we leave him here with us because he's bonding with the kids here?" And when he almost got assassinated, and then you had the female, is she a Mandalorian too, or is she just like a warrior?
She's
a bounty, yeah.
Yeah, and so when she came behind and killed him, and then they found out that he was trying to assassinate Baby Yoda, he was like, "Okay, we can't take him." I'm not even gonna lie. I was one of the people like, yes, I'm so glad it was a threat to try to take him there so they can keep him going. Because I was like, don't just end it right here. He's become a fan favorite just that quick.
Now it's not based on any source material, right? It's a whole new idea.
Yeah.
Okay, Sister Warrior, you know what? I don't know why you think it has digressed. I don't know what you're talking about.
What is she talking about?
I have no idea. See, the constructive aspect of the discussion has digressed. I have no idea what she's talking about.
Aren't we supposed to be talking about Star Wars?
She was saying earlier we shouldn't even be. Why are we even drinking this poison by watching it? And I pointed out, look, I teach. I got students. I got my son. And if you are not aware of what they're digesting, they're going to do it anyway. One, but two, they're not going to have any guidance on what it means. So I try to stay current so that I can sit down with my students and my son and have a competent dialogue about what they're ingesting and what it means.
That's exactly what I feel like.
Shit didn't happen. Oh, you watched something 5 years ago, but you know.
Yeah, the thing is, if you know we're discussing Watchmen and Star Wars and you think it's garbage, why are you tuning in? So I'm curious.
Because we're not talking about Real Housewives of Atlanta.
Oh, okay.
Oh, come on.
I think I interrupted you, Artisan, when you were responding to her, though. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying you hit on something that I've championed for a long time, is that you need to know what your kids are watching, because I'm a student of not media, but I watch media and social cues and how people are programmed, and it's usually through television and media. And I'm very conscious. When my kids were younger, obviously they're in their 20s now, but what they're watching and watching it with them. And seeing what messages are trying to be conveyed to these children, because this is the adults that you're going to get, within 20 years or so. These are going to be those adults. And you need to know what the hell is going into these kids' head, because you can't get in there and scoop it out.
Well, see, but the pushback I get is, oh, well, just don't let them watch it, which I think actually Sister Warrior said. And I'm like, that's not realistic.
No, not in this day. Not with all these devices. No,
because my thinking is, I don't want victims. I don't want people victims, right? And the best way to make people not victims, you either train them how to fight and understand what they're going up against. And that's what it is with the kids. They have to know what it is that's out there. You can't wrap them in a bubble and think they're going to be okay when they get grown and go out in the world and they don't know anything about it. That's ridiculous. You're sending them unarmed and naked into a field.
Which is why we got millennials. Well, see, that's why we got a lot of millennials that aren't prepared to actually go out into the world. Like we got to bubble wrap all these kids.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Their feelings, their insecurities, their fragile minds. It's like, look, kids ain't that weak.
Yeah.
Okay. Adults are weak. Kids go out there with their zeal, like we can take it all. We can do this. What's going on here? Adults are the ones, no, well, you should be a little bit afraid, and let me put this on you, and let me get you a little Band-Aid for that. Look, man, the world is rough. Grow some tougher skin. Get a callus or something.
Right.
And understand what's going out here, so you don't have to be a victim of this stuff out here. That's the main thing. You got to know what's going on.
Right. With my niece, she was housebound because of her mother. Okay. And once they came to live with me, I started letting her go out and explore the world, and and taking her out and letting her do things by herself and whatnot. I mean, first thing I taught her was self-defense, but then I let her going out and doing things and let her have a boyfriend and date and everything. And I mean, teenagers are going to be teenagers. They're going to mess up, but it's how you react to the mess up that helps determine on really how they deal with you going forward as far as trust and respect and communication. And instead of yelling, screaming, belittling, I have conversation. I don't talk at her or to her. I talk with her. And I have conversations with her. So, like we have a deep, deep bond that right now she done ghosted her mother. She spent 3 years ghosting her dad because they don't know how to parent correctly. You understand? They don't know how to parent correctly. So I know things about her that they don't even know. I think the most shocking thing that happened was when her mother said, she's an introvert. I was like, this girl ain't no damn introvert. Like, you don't let her do introvert. So she stayed in her room. But trust me, when you ain't here, she out in the streets. And she looked like what? And I mean, it wasn't nothing she could say or do about it because it's too late.
And you can see, the difference in people, male and female for that matter, that have actually grown up around positive males who have been in their lives constructively. There's a difference in how they carry themselves in the world.
A marked difference. I will add to that. A marked difference.
Absolutely. But you got to be in it. You got to be in the mix. You got to know what they're dealing with, ask them questions, dialogue, take in what they're taking in, and then help them through it.
Yeah.
But, just telling them don't watch that and you'll be fine. That doesn't work.
Especially nowadays with social media.
Nah.
I mean, those are the funniest conversations I have with my children. My son, I have a son and I have a daughter, is about the stuff that they actually go through. And they're always amazed. My daughter tells me this more so because, she's in college and dealing with other people, and she talks about stuff that she's seen or talked about with her dad, and her classmates and stuff are like shocked, like, you talk that way with your father? I'm like, yeah, because I didn't raise her like a damn child. She's growing up to be an adult. She's not growing up to be a child. So she got to be able to talk with me. So when we get into it because we have discussions about things that get passionate, not because she did something stupid and I'm just coming down on her about doing something stupid. You're going to mess up. You better do it while you're young, because you don't get chances when you get old.
Right. Right.
So me and her have these kind of discussions that are can be completely analytical or can be about her feelings or whatever, but always invested in each other because she knows I'm there for her. And that's why we have that relationship where we can actually talk about these things and not just, well, I can't talk to dad. He don't understand this. He wouldn't understand. Shit, tell me. Make me understand.
And if you understand the purpose of media, you understand why you need to be involved with talking to these people about it.
You need to.
It's not just entertainment.
They'll throw. I tell people this all the time. Go back and watch some of the shows that you watched when you were a kid, and go see what they were throwing out at you, and see if it was appropriate for you to be watching now. Because you see all kind of stuff thrown in the media like that they were throwing at these kids early. Even my generation. I'm a Gen Xer. We got all kind of shit thrown at us. That's why gay people on TV ain't a surprise to us. It's like, okay, I remember Maude way back in whatever.
You said Maude, damn.
Yeah. You had to be very small.
Oh man,
Maude, Bosom Buddies. It was a whole bunch of shows that I remember seeing when I was younger that like, they don't necessarily seem right, but whatever. But you get older, you think that's cross-dressing men. There's
a couple
What's that?
There's a couple episodes of Good Times I can't conceive of them making in 2019.
Oh, really? It'd be too much backlash.
Yes. Basically anything, any episode with James Evans. So anything from season 1 and 2.
You got that strong daddy in there? Oh no, you can't do that. He's abusive. You're talking harsh. You don't care about them people's feelings and their self-esteem.
Don't forget this one: toxic masculinity.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Look. I know there's a definition for toxic masculinity. My definition is right now it could be Terminator 3. This last Terminator movie could be toxic masculinity. That woman running around kicking Terminator's ass, and she a chick that looked halfway like a dude.
Yep.
That's toxic masculinity right there.
It looked like Macaulay Culkin.
Tori, you already know what you are, dude, but I'll say it again. You ain't shit. Oh man, that's messed up. I can't look at the poster ever again now. I'm just keep saying Home Alone. Damn. You just Tori, and I think you just flamed that movie into non-existence, dude. With that one.
It needed to be. It was horrible.
Thank you.
I think what was so sad about that whole thing was they tried to bring, not tried to, but they brought back Sarah Connor, an iconic character, into the movie in hopes that would save it. Because see, they were doing that to pull people in on nostalgia purposes, bringing her back in, especially since we haven't seen Linda Hamilton in anything lately. So they brought her back into this in hopes that people would go see it, and it still didn't work.
About to die.
Well, and they turned the Terminator into a nanny, so he was a stepfather,
Yeah,
nanny kind of thing.
Yeah, you got to soften the image. You know, he's Cal. I was surprised he wasn't cooking waffles.
That is exactly why. That is it. This is exactly why we appreciate. This is exactly why we appreciate the John Wick movies. You have an alpha male.
Yes. Yes.
I wouldn't even say he's alpha, but he's just doing some male shit and not apologizing about it.
But not apologizing is something we don't really get to see a whole lot of. That's just being able to just do it.
Mm-hmm.
And what I like too is that y'all saw John Wick Chapter 3, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so even in that movie, in that small scene where he and Halle Berry were fighting alongside each other, not one time in that movie did she try to upstage him in that scene. That whole scene right there was them working together.
They're working together, and she had her own style, and he had his style. And she was
them
going
dogs, though, oh my god,
that was rough. That was some rough business, dude.
I didn't dig the fact that she shot him the first minute she was in the scene. I was just like, all right, we get it. You're tough. All right, but short of that,
Yeah, you know what that is, Tia-san. That's that establishing.
It's just, I'm like,
to establish that she's tough. It's Halle Berry.
She's tough, right? All 110 pounds. But I will say this though. I posted up, I think about a week ago, about a father who apparently killed the man who had broken into his. I guess his daughter was in a public bathroom.
I talked about that. Yes.
He busted into the stall, and the father came and protected her, and went to jail. You remember how much time he got, Tarian?
8 years.
8 years.
What?
8 years.
His daughter?
For protecting his daughter.
Yeah, because there was a guy that I think they was in a restaurant or something like that. It was a public place. The daughter went into the restroom, and some guy like literally following her in there. And that's suspicion alone, like a guy going into a women's restroom.
Exactly.
And he went in behind that man and he beat him to death, like with his bare hands and feet.
Mm-hmm.
And he got 8 years in prison for that.
Well, at least I know how much time. What city? What state was he in?
Was it Arizona?
You put money on it.
Yeah.
I posted the article, but I didn't remember where. But I'm just saying.
His name is Melvin Harris.
Thank you.
Damn. So he was black.
So what happens when you have?
And the thing is, and to get this, the guy who went in the bathroom was black himself. His name was Leon Covington.
Wow. Yeah. But just being unapologetic about protecting your child for a man, for a woman it's acceptable, but for a man it's considered a problem. It's considered toxic masculinity. The only caveat is he was protecting a little girl or a young girl, so there may be some room there. But that kind of unapologetic masculinity we're talking about, that's what produces that kind of a father. That's what produces.
And what I also hate is the fact that when you hear the trope that black dads are deadbeats, then you look at this situation right here. I said this was a guy that was protecting his daughter from being violated by some perv.
Right.
Can we back it up a second? That's what Trayvon Martin's father was supposed to have done the second he found out what happened to his kid.
Trust and believe. They told me they went to the homeboy's house and looked for him. He didn't go home. He went out of the country. Okay. No, they had 20 guys at his house knocking on his wife's door, said, "Where's he at?" But
somebody in that house would have paid that fucking night. Well, you took the life, I'm taking the life. Somebody gonna die. Somebody gonna die. I ain't got no problems going to jail, but somebody gonna fucking die. Ain't nobody getting away with this. You better hope the courts catch you before I do. Oh, you getting off? You getting out? I'd have said to him, "I see you in the streets, motherfucker."
No, they had to.
I'm glad they let you go. I will see you soon.
Because they had to recall him because he was he in Panama or someplace like that. His folks sent him out of the country the next day.
Yeah. I'd have got it.
They had to bring him back to actually send him to trial because he wasn't in the country.
The simple fact that people are saying, "Well, Zimmerman's still alive," that's on Trayvon Martin's father. I get it that it's on us too, but the main person that's supposed to be handling this is Mr. Martin. That is his sole responsibility. Ain't no way in fucking hell you gonna kill my kid on some kid, tell all type of lies, and you think I'm just gonna let you walk the streets
and breathe air?
And also too, I gotta add, the state of Florida should have been dealt with George Zimmerman before it got to that point, because his record before that whole thing happened, he should have been locked up.
Well, you know, his father's
his father's a judge.
Yeah.
Right. And you know what? That would mean absolutely nothing to me. You killed my kid. You killed my kid. Either I'm getting to you or I'm getting to somebody you love. I'm getting to a few people. I'm gonna pull a Christopher Dorner on your ass. I'm getting the people you love. I ain't got no problems going to jail. And if I get murdered in the process, that's fine. But motherfucker, you gonna feel my pain.
Eclectic Tyrone's.
I'm sorry.
He said, "You mean you wouldn't have hugged him in court?"
Oh, chokehold.
Can I give her a hug? Why, yes, go ahead. That's right. Hug my forearms. Reach out in the spirit of love.
Oh my goodness. Absolutely.
Woo.
Is there anything about to come out worth seeing? Has anybody seen anything that looks like
I got Bad Boys for Life.
When is that? When is that
coming out? That's coming out, I think, next month.
It comes out in January. Well, next month.
Bad Boys is January? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Coming out.
No. Only thing, what is it?
Oh, I would actually like to go. I actually looked that new movie that John David Washington gonna be in called Tenet. That new Christopher Nolan movie. That looks like that's gonna be interesting.
That's the one I was thinking of, Tori.
Was that?
I wasn't real clear what that was about.
Somebody says 21 Bridges. Has anybody seen it?
I didn't see it.
Bridges.
I heard about it, but I didn't see it.
That's the other one too. That's Black Panther. The dude that plays Black Panther is in. I'm forgetting his name right now, but he's supposed to be like a detective or something. And they're looking for a cop killer or something like that, in like New York, and they shut down the bridges and start going house to house. So,
was it good?
I think it's supposed to be. I think it's out now.
Yeah, I think it's out.
I haven't seen it yet. Yeah, I haven't seen that one yet.
Eclectic, was it any good? Let me see what.
I'm trying to think.
You got
Just
Mercy.
Also, they just released a teaser for A Quiet Place 2.
What?
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Really?
Okay.
I actually like the first one.
Yeah,
I like the first one too. I've never seen so many people nervous in a movie theater in my life.
I was so quiet. Everybody in that, when I went to go see it, everybody was quiet the entire time. Even the parts where people should have jumped, no one really made any noise. Like, it felt like we was actually in the movie. It's like it had a psychological effect on us. Like, okay, everything's quiet in this movie. We're gonna be quiet.
And once they killed that little 5-year-old kid, I was like, oh, y'all ain't playing. Okay.
Oh yeah, and he was the first kill.
Yeah.
When that toy went off, we kind of like, uh-oh. Like that's how we was when we was watching it.
Anybody seen it, Slim?
No.
What you say?
Don't want to see it either.
Okay, well, Dr. Johnson, did you actually review Queen and Slim?
I did a short review on Facebook on Queen and Slim, and it was, I thought it was all kind of problematic. I mean, for the most part. Did anybody else on the panel see it?
I did not see it. I haven't been talking to see no movies yet.
The only thing I is brothers didn't have anything to do with the writing on that movie at all. It really didn't.
So it was the Tyler Perry movie in almost, huh?
It was, yeah. I mean, so you have this black couple, and they're supposed to be the Bonnie and Clyde kind of thing, and but she instigates this confrontation with a cop, and she gets shot. Matter of fact, there's 2 points in the movie where in front of cops, she's the one that gets shot, and not really him. And there's so I did a short review on Facebook of it, but the problem for me watching it is I'm like, statistically speaking, you got about 10, well, it's about 8 to 20 women, black women in particular, that die at the hands of cops per year. You got about 200 to 300 black men that die. So at the end of the day, I'm kind of like, if you got a black male and female together dealing with a cop, she's not the one that's going to get shot.
No, the brother getting shot.
He was, and spoilers. You ain't seen it by now. I'm just going to ruin it. So by the end, when they're standing up, being confronted by this wave of blue police officers, they shoot her first, and then they light into him. He gets shot like 20 times. But the thing about it, the theater was dead quiet when he got shot. When she got shot, everybody gasped and was like, "Oh my God!" Like it was. But when he got shot, folks were just like, "Okay,
yeah, that's fine."
So it's an interesting dynamic to kind of see how people were comfortable in a way with seeing black males being treated a certain way, but
because it's all part of the plan.
Yeah. Dr. Johnson,
shot, they lose their minds.
The first time I saw
a little anarchy.
The first time I saw something like that and really got that idea that people, the audience or whatever, does not really care, or Hollywood about black men getting killed, was in Kick-Ass, the first Kick-Ass. And they're showing Hit Girl, and Hit Girl goes into this drug house and it's full of fucking brothers, and she starts just ripping into these dudes like gruesomely. And I'm like, nobody in the theater gets shocked by any of this. None of them were shocked. They were shocked the minute before when they showed Nicolas Cage as her father shoot her with a pistol. They gasped the same way, like, "Oh God, she got shot." Yeah, now she in this house with like 15 dudes, and she cutting arms off and legs and stabbing them and stuff, and ain't nobody said shit.
Yeah,
like, okay, so it's okay. This is okay now, right? Oh, okay.
Right. And the evolution of that is the new Kick-Ass, from what I could tell, is a black woman in the comics.
Yeah,
I don't know. Have you been following that one, Artisan?
Yeah, I've seen that she's the new Kick-Ass, and Hit Girl's off doing her own little thing. It's like, okay, so whatever. But just judging by comic books and covers, everything is going female. Every female character, if you can make a new one, they pushing it up. It's either going to be female or it's going to be Asian. That's it. That's what they're pushing in the comic books really hard now.
Yeah,
that's it. So
why the comic book industry is dying.
The comic book industry is dying because people don't fucking read.
But it's also the comics that they've been coming out with the last few years have been real gynocentric. I mean,
the thing with the comics, with the comic books, you have to remember this: they're always trying to catch the audience. And in a growing world where people do not use paper is evil, paper is bad, and why should I buy it when I can download it digitally? I said, because you don't own shit, actually.
No.
You know? I'm an old paper and ink person. You know, I like books. I like having books. I like the feel of paper and stuff like that. In this medium where people don't want to buy anything, they want it cheap and free and easy. comics have to adapt to their times, and comics are always a statement of their time frame that they're in. So they're always trying to catch their audience where their audience is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they think their audience is now. This is the audience that they think is there, and that's what they need. Now, some of it is true, and some of it is not. It's not as big as they think it is, but they're going to throw, their whole hat in the ring and try to catch those people because they want to stay alive and viable just like everything else. So they're going to grab those people.
Untapped penis envy.
Exactly.
I'm serious. Untapped penis envy.
So they made Wolverine a woman, Thor a woman.
Well, this is the thing with the Wolverine thing. There's two things happening with the Wolverine thing. One, Laura Kinney was around for a while. Okay,
I remember her.
She was there. But also, what was happening? The reason why they made her Wolverine is because Disney was trying to pressure Fox.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they killed a bunch of those X-Men characters and the Fantastic Four. They were trying to pressure Fox and starve them out so they would have to come to the table and deal with them. Because they
rid of Wolverine altogether for a while.
They killed Wolverine altogether, let her be the new Wolverine for a while because she is his genetic clone. So it's basically him anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. Laura Kinney is an all right character. She ain't the best character, but she ain't a Mary Sue. Okay? So you got her in there. You dealing with Fox, kill off all the Fox characters, and now you ain't got to write anything for them, and they ain't got no material to sell their movies off of. So now they got to come to the table because once that deal went through with Disney, Wolverine is back, the X-Men are back and better than ever. Fantastic Four is back, and everybody's jazzed about them coming into the MCU. But that was a business move that the comic book industry was doing to get the movie people to come to the damn table with their cup in their hand. They did
the same with Iron Man. So the comic book industry is suffering, and I think a lot of it has to do with that. Do you think that's going to affect the films, especially Marvel's next slate of films that are going to be very female centered? Do you think that's going to affect that?
Yes, and I'll tell you why. I did a review on this, or I did a shop talk on this because me and my coworker were talking about this with Kevin Feige stepping in and taking over everything in Marvel. He's the head of comic books and movies and all that. And that's troublesome to me because I don't think you'll have the same kind of comics produced as you will if a studio head for a movie company. You can see this with DC and Warner Brothers. A studio head does not look at comics the same way as a comic book person looks at a movie. They don't. Yes, it's the same characters, it's the same thing, but they see things completely different because they're playing to different audiences. You're hoping that you get that crossover, but it's a different set of considerations. A 2-hour movie has a different set of story considerations than a 12-issue, 1-year story arc has. It's completely freaking different. And if you have one person who's a studio head deciding what gets made in comic continuity, basically you just crapped on the source. The source is now choked off. You're not going to have any real super creative ideas coming out because the studio head is thinking of how he could fit this into a movie and not how do you make a good comic book and sell this to readers that you could maybe make a movie out of later on. And there's a bunch of stories that would, in my mind, never even be made if there was a studio head sitting over the table at Marvel in the bullpen and saying, no, we can't do that Phoenix story. We can't do that Civil War or Secret Wars. We can't do that. That's too big because the budget on that movie would be astronomical. We can never do that. So it basically limits the story making process, which is the problem in comics right now. You have a lot of these new writers pushing their agendas, pseudo woke or whatever the fuck they want to call themselves. But they have no creative energy. They are not creative at all. All they know how to do is come in, gyno wash something, reskin something, push the narrative for the new media. That's it. They're not making any real creative stories. That's why you see stories like House of X or anything like that comes out. There are scatters of writers who actually still do creative work, but it's not all of them. Most of them that are right now are producing this dreck that they're calling a comic book right now, saying the industry is suffering because comics aren't selling. Comics are selling because you have shitty writers. That's why. That's exactly why they're not selling. A comic book reader, like you say, you've been reading comics for 40 years, right? I'm a little older than you. I've been reading the comics a long time. I can tell you the writers that I think of ain't none of these new people.
Right.
No, not a one of them has written a story that I can say this, oh, that was amazing. No, because they're pushing narratives. They're not even being creative. And that's my biggest gripe with millennials and whoever this group of Yetzes is that where does your creativity come from? Where is it? Where's the original ideas?
Well, the way I see it, though, again, they're marketing to an audience that they haven't even talked to. Because, again, men aren't the only ones that are checking out of some of this. A lot of women are not going to see the stuff that they get tailored to. But BGS, you just engaged somebody about Black Lightning, and I'll be honest, I stopped watching after a couple episodes of the first season.
Yeah.
So can you break down what's going on with that?
Oh, when they one is he's supposed to be a family man with a wife and daughters, and basically you have the same old gynocentric stuff where basically the women tell him what to do.
Yeah.
You know, push him around. Even the daughters or tell him what to do. And then you have this the daughter who becomes a superhero herself is a lesbian.
Okay.
So you have a lot of this LGBTQ, but that's on that network you have a lot of that. That's like the new Batwoman is going down the tank.
I couldn't. Please don't bring that up. Because I remember when they first put the trailer out there, that had to be one of the most disliked trailers for any CW show. Like on that for that network. Like the stuff that she was saying, I'm like, how you gonna say all this stuff, but you using Bruce Wayne's tech to build your suit, and he's your cousin? Like the disrespect.
Well, look, I just saw on YouTube. I just saw on YouTube the clip where the Crisis clip where she was fighting Bruce Wayne with the body brace on.
Yeah.
And she kicked him once and he died, and I was just like, all right.
I heard about that. That pissed me off because they had Kevin Conroy actually play in Kingdom Come Bruce Wayne, which is it's an older Bruce Wayne, yes, but he's badass. But they made him kind of evil, and then she took him out. I'm like, okay, I guess that's one part of this I didn't need to see because they had been hyping this up for months. That the crisis on Infinite Earth. And it's like, yeah, I can be jazzed for this. And then I saw some of the stuff coming out of it. I was like, this is fucking
Artisan.
The only thing that was a crisis was how bad it was. That's a crisis.
One kick, Artisan. One kick.
Come on, man.
And that was a big deal because Kevin Conroy has been one of the most honored Batman ever.
He's the voice.
Yeah, that voice is like iconic. Like in the animated series, like he has like the voice of Bruce Wayne. And then they had him in some of the Arkham games. Like that voice is very recognizable. Couple him up with Mark Hamill as the Joker, which shocked me a few years ago when I found out I was like, hold on, Luke Skywalker is the Joker. I said he is good.
Right.
Kevin Conroy is the voice of Batman. That's just it. Just like Mark Hamill is the voice of Joker. It's there. You can put anybody else in there you want to, but they always gonna reference. He don't sound like Kevin Conroy.
Exactly.
You don't sound like Mark Hamill.
The animated series for Batman back in the 90s was, in my opinion, one of the perfect cartoon series ever from beginning to end. But, from where it started to where it ended. And for me, like that and X-Men, those two right there were my go-to when I was a kid.
So that's the thing with Bruce Timm's and the Batman the animated series. Just getting back to the creative idea part. This is somebody who had a creative idea and loved this material, and that's what you're not seeing a lot in comics now and movies now. A lot of this stuff is not being produced by people who love this material at all. They don't give a shit about this material. Yeah. That's why they keep putting out such crap. All the
material that comes out and what you produce.
Right, it's popular. It'll get eyes on it, so they'll use it to push whatever narrative they want because they cannot create their own characters that people would be interested in. I mean, a perfect example would be freaking Deadpool. Deadpool's been around since what, 88, 89?
Mm-hmm.
It took this long for people to know who the hell Deadpool was, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, nobody in the alphabet community wants to invest 15 years or 20 years into making a character and making it successful. They don't want to wait that long. So that's why they'll take any established character that somebody knows and somebody likes and shove their puppet hand up his butt and start making it speak their lies and say, oh, they didn't like it because they're against this stuff. No, we didn't like it because it's crap.
It wasn't well done. Absolutely.
Because I'll admit that I didn't know who Deadpool was until I started to see like images of him and like footage of him, and I was like, oh, like he looks like a very interesting character, and I said I think I'll go and check it out, and I ended up loving it. Like this is like a whole new person, because this is a person that didn't have a cartoon. I didn't read any comics based on him. You know, it was like Deadpool and like Guardians of the Galaxy. Like you didn't know who they were, but they ended up becoming very like a lot of people ended up loving them as a group. So it's like it's certain ones that weren't, like you said, Artisan, like they weren't pushed out there for mainstream, I guess you can say, approval. Because they had their favorites like Batman, X-Men, Superman, to an extent, Wonder Woman, and everything like that.
That has been that's kind of the recipe, at least for Marvel. And success for some movies is the less people know about the character, the more they can get away with altering the stories and stuff like that to suit the audience.
Like Captain Marvel.
Like Captain Marvel. Guardians is the best example of that, actually, because the Guardians you see in the movie ain't shit like the Guardians from the comic book. Nothing whatsoever. Star-Lord ain't comical. He is not comical. Gamora and Drax are not no damn pushover. Drax is not a dummy. Drax is made to go after Thanos. He's called the Destroyer because his job is that he's created to kill Thanos. That's his damn job. He is not no pushover. He like Hulk level strong and can fight. Okay. Not just swing heavy blows. Okay. None of the people on that team are slouches. Groot, don't just say Groot. He can say that, but he ain't dumb either. You know, but what you got because nobody really knew those characters that much, James Gunn was able to go in and craft the characters the way he wanted to for this genre and for this audience, and it really hit with this audience because you have these kind of goofy dudes or whatever, and this kind of strong stand-up heart of the team, Zoe Saldana Gamora, who ain't nothing like the real Gamora in the comic books. It's a straight-up killer. No heart and soul there.
It's like they're gonna do the same. They're gonna do the same thing with the Eternals because no one knows who they are.
They're gonna try. But they're going to try, and here's how you know they're going to try really hard, because Angelina Jolie wants to be a part of that damn movie.
She is.
How hard they're going to try. They want her to. She wants a part of that movie, and as far as I'm concerned, they can come and they can go. I just want to see how they use this external stuff to
because they're gods, right?
Yeah.
Nah, they're god-like, basically
like celestial.
Yeah, think of them as proto-humans. They're going to be the impetus for mutants, where mutants come from. They have to be, because that's where you get mutants out of that whole external story. That the mutated DNA comes from this externals line, right? You get the deviants and the externals, and then the deviants lead on to being mutants and all this other stuff. So you need the externals to establish how mutants will fit into this MCU universe. I don't see them doing a bunch of externals movies. I see them doing one just to establish the rest of the stuff they can move on with.
You mean
to introduce X-Men?
Yes.
Yeah,
because to introduce the X-Men.
The X-Men are offshoots of what Thanos is. You understand? They're
sort of. Thanos is Thanos's line, I think, comes from the externals line. The mutant line comes from the deviant line. And basically, you got the Celestials coming to Earth and messing with the genetics, and they produced two sets of beings on Earth, which were these externals that were godlike, just because they're white folks and they could fly and stuff like that. And then you got these deviants who look like the Morlocks from H.G. Wells and stuff like that, which, think the Hulk, mutants, those kind of people have this deviant strain. Okay. So basically in comic books, at least in Marvel comic books, a lot of different people when came to Earth and screwed around with the DNA of the beings that were there beforehand, thousands of years ago or whatever. So because of that, a lot of human beings walking around today have a lot of latent DNA or stuff inside of it. Mutation and mutants are just one of those dormant sets of genes that popped up and opened up. And so by establishing the externals, you get that genetic link of how mutants can exist in this universe, in the MCU universe, because they need that. Otherwise, you just can't show up one day and there's X-Men running around and mutants, because
with all that's already happened, that's going to be hard to kind of explain.
Exactly. That's why they need the externals to kind of explain that.
I think phase 4 of the MCU is going to be that filler phase, and then they're going to rev it up with phase 5.
You're right.
They said that. Kevin Feige has said that, but I think it's more so like BGS has talked about many a times on this finance in 2020. Everything is scaling back. He's not trying to do a lot of big movies. They'll say it's for all these other reasons. Basically, they're trying to save some money on that shit. So that's why
what they're doing is, and this is why I say that daggone mouse in its pockets are so deep. So basically, what they're doing is, instead of coming out with a whole bunch of movies, they're combining the films and the Disney Plus shows into the MCU, and they're connecting them to make you watch the shows. They say, oh, they're connected to the MCU, so you can go and watch Black Widow. And then they're coming out with the Eternals. They're only coming out with 2 movies next year, but then they'll incorporate like the Falcon and Winter Soldier. They're gonna make you watch that because they're like, okay, it's gonna be connected to MCU somehow, so I gotta watch and see where they go with this. Then they're gonna come out with WandaVision, which we found out it's going to be connected to the next Doctor Strange movie.
Right.
So you're gonna have to watch that. So it's like they're combining the shows with the films, and it's probably gonna all come together eventually. But like the reason why I said I can't wait for phase 5 is because I know under that phase, we're going to get Black Panther 2, Blade, and most likely Fantastic Four and probably X-Men, at least under that phase.
Tell me this.
Do
you think the Avengers will be mostly female?
Yes.
They hinted at it at the end of Endgame.
Yeah, that was
the A-Force.
Kevin Feige is in that camp.
Isn't Spider-Man leading the Avengers now?
No, it's supposed to be Carl Manwood.
I thought Tony Stark passed the mantle off onto him.
They did. The thing about was that this is why they fought so hard to get Spider-Man back, was because, like, do understand that Captain Marvel was forced on Kevin Feige. He never wanted to introduce that character.
Really?
Bullshit.
That seemed like a flagship for their philosophy. So
he wanted that. Kevin Feige is on the feminist bandwagon.
She was the most powerful character in the Marvel universe. So
I don't think she's more powerful than Scarlet Witch.
He would have probably started off with her. He'd have hit her early, because that movie was shoehorned in. The character was shoehorned in right when the series was concluding. And do you see a Captain Marvel movie coming out within the next couple of years? Is it on?
Well,
it's on the slate.
It's on the slate, but if they'd have started with that, it wouldn't have developed.
When is it on the slate? What year?
It's in phase 4. The last I heard, though, was that they were thinking they're trying to see what they can do with Brie Larson and possibly recasting her.
So they want to get rid of her.
Yes.
Right. Because from what I'm understanding, because she didn't test well, because they had to do the little box office trickery, all right, for her movie, and how people reacted to her in Endgame, they couldn't go forward with her being the new face of the MCU. So like, screw it, we might as well let the most popular character the most popular character in Marvel be the new face of the MCU, which is of course Spider-Man. That's
face Marvel Comics
with Sony. But Sony didn't bite. They balked. It was like, and we can take Tom Holland with us too. But they went back to the table. They wound up bending the knee. So they got Spider-Man for what? 4 more movies?
Yeah.
4 more movies. So therefore, you can go ahead and try to find somebody else to pick up the mantle. But right now, it's being passed to Peter Parker. But you got to find somebody else to pick up that mantle. You understand? And more than likely, I think they're probably going to push all of the old heroes to the back while they mainly focus on X-Men and Fantastic Four. Okay, because Tony's dead. Tony was the MCU. Tony and Cap were the MCU. You know, Thor didn't finally come around to being a likable character until what? Avengers 3? Avengers 3? And this was before Thor 3. But it was, I think it was, what was Avengers 3? No, that was Age of Ultron. No, Age of Ultron was when people started liking him a little bit. Because he started showing his human side.
Yeah, that was after his second movie, after Dark World.
Exactly.
Dark World came out after Guardians, and Thor got that Guardians remake after that. So Thor got a little bit lighter.
Right.
That's why 3, they went too hard on it.
Oh my God.
Just was like,
come on,
crap. You know,
well, they're doubling down on Thor 3 with this with 4.
Oh yeah,
they're doubling down on that whole approach, not only with Steve Foster, but we saw that with what is the Valkyrie in Ragnarok? I mean, she was throwing Hulk around wrestling. I'm like, really?
Yeah, no, nah. Okay, that's not how that works. But okay, whatever.
Whatever. But
it's your movie. Do what you want to.
They realize that they can't move forward with Captain Marvel the way that Disney wanted him to move forward with Captain Marvel. It's just not going to work. They would lose money. They would lose money. So they have to find a new replacement. And I think the Fantastic Four is probably going to want Fantastic Four and X-Men's Wolverine, if they do him right, or if they do it right, will wind up leading the charge. And they'll push the
I think at least for Marvel Studios and the MCU, they have to stick with the Avengers being the centerpiece for that title. Yes, they need a face for Marvel in the MCU, and Spider-Man is it, because Spider-Man is the face of Marvel Comics. But because they've had to do so much maneuvering and trying to push Captain Marvel up there, and the stuff with Sony, I see them trying to stick with the Avengers, but get people to bite and buy off on the revolving cast of the Avengers, just like it is in the comic books, that you have to introduce some new people. I don't see them fronting that movie with anybody. I don't even see them fronting it with Tom Holland. He's all right, but I don't see them fronting an Avengers movie with Tom Holland. That's not going to be the case. They're going to have to bring in somebody else and another character that people want to see, because I know they're not going to front it with the Black Panther, which would make sense, but they're not going to. I don't see them doing that. I don't see them doing it. They're going to have to try with somebody else.
I can see Panther becoming an Avenger. I can see Panther becoming an Avenger, but they've been hinting at Shuri, and we already know what they did in the comics. So
yeah, don't even
go female. Tony's
don't even mention that shit.
Tony's daughter is they're hinting at, so they're either probably gonna go. I don't even think they're gonna go with Riri. I think they're gonna go with Tony's daughter, and with we see Jane Foster. So I'm thinking the Avengers in the next phases is gonna be radically different.
It's gonna be
a good way to introduce the X-Men is through Black Panther and have Storm be in it.
And Storm is gonna be coming in. But I do need to say, I was gonna go. The most I can do tonight is 3 hours, and we're hitting it. So I am gonna have to go, fellas. But I want to particularly thank BGS.
Thank you, BGS.
He made this promise to do this show before, I think even before he knew that he was going to step off YouTube. So he kept his promise. But beyond that, I just needed to hear the brother's voice again. I needed my BGS fix. So I want to thank him for doing this, man.
Saturday BGS fix. Thank you, Dr. T, for convincing him to come off of Dagobah and come, come out the force amongst us.
Much hubris have you.
You know,
Black pill you desire.
But I think the brother is gotten, you know, he's dealt with the negative, and I really wanted him to know how many people respect him, and I don't always think he gets that as much as one might think. So I hope you read the comments, man. I hope you heard people's voices. We miss you, but thank you for doing this, man.
Oh man, you know, yeah, you and Artisan is the reason I'm really still here. Okay, with my channel, my channel's still up because I made a promise to support certain people. And said, "Why do you still have your channel?" I said, "I made a promise to support certain people, and I try to keep them if I can. As a man, I try to do that. I don't want to leave a vacuum. You know, I don't know if I'm going to be gone 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years. I have no idea. You know, I'm going to play it by ear, but I always said there's plenty of people to actually pick up the mantle from where I do. So." I don't want to encourage that. So, but I made a promise to Artisan, and I made a promise to Dr. T that I'm going to be there to support you. So I'm still here as far as that is concerned.
Well, it's much appreciated, and I hope people will go ahead and subscribe. You know, I don't know what my schedule's going to be. I don't think I'll be doing 3-hour kind of hangouts.
Oh no. Yeah.
But I will be doing more content, live content soon. And I hope to hear some of these voices come back through.
So how'd you like your feedback, since you weren't sure about you seem to actually take to it like a duck to water?
Man, I love these brothers, man. I've been listening to y'all. I told BGS I'll get up at 3 a.m. and turn on the hangout just to hear voices.
Exactly.
So I really dig y'all, and I dig the community, and I hope brothers come back through.
Like a radio show.
Security blanket. I'm like, okay, brothers are talking.
This better than Art Bell.
Anyway, you guys take it easy, and thanks a lot for coming through, y'all.
All right, y'all. Peace.
Peace, brother.
Are we all leaving?
Yeah.
He's going.
Yeah.